What it do, what it do, what it do, Moody.
What's up? What's up? Crown Jewel this weekend. I'm ready
Yeah,
to not watch it. Ready to not watch it, but ready for it to be over with and get
it's
back
funny
to like
because, like,
the canon
usually,
timeline.
yeah, it's funny because we usually try to be like, oh, there's a PLE that's happening early in the day that would kind of conflicts with our recording schedule. But I'm like, I'm glad, like I said, we talked about this a few weeks back. It's like, I'm glad that, we both agree that this is something that we don't care about.
Yeah. With that being said, this is the most canon it has felt. Like
Is it?
I guess it's the first. I guess we would recognize this as Triple H's first Crown Jewel, right? Probably.
No. No,
No,
he did
last
it
year.
last year.
Since he
Yeah.
was in, okay. Well, yeah, last year.
I
I
remember he
definitely don't
took
remember
over
shit
like
from last
two
year.
two years ago, and that was like around SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Was the first SummerSlam was Brock Lesnar Roman when they lifted up the ring in Tennessee.
Okay. Yeah. Huge spot. All right. Either
Yeah,
way,
so
I'm
it's been
ready to
like
get
2
back
years.
to the canon, the sacred timeline of
Yeah,
WWE.
if I had to sum what this past month has been like, it feels like it's been a prologue before
I think
you
that's
actually
putting it
get
nicely.
to put it to before getting to the actual book.
Mhm.
But nonetheless, My I might have another Percy, but my main Percy that I have on the deck is very small. But so I'll let you start with yours and see if I come up with the secondary.
Mine is. I'm glad you let me go first because this is absolutely nothing. So it's gonna be quicker than you think. You know that show Doctor Pimple Popper?
Yeah.
I ain't never watch it because I'm one of those people that like that is like I can't do body horror. That is like my
Yeah.
number one like skin crawling thing. Bruh, I probably need her ass. Like I'm telling you, like, no, it's just like I got this that right here. It's on the back of my ear, like right here on the back of my earlobe. I can feel it like as I turn my head, like right here.
Mm.
It's that big, but it's like in such a I've never had one in such like this that
Yeah,
crevice, like this that
the crevice of
it's
your
right
ear. Yeah.
there.
I
Yeah.
know
And I
exactly what you
literally
mean.
and
Because
I
I get it
can't do
sometimes from like
anything.
wearing glasses and whatnot. It's like sometimes I might get like a little bump
That's
back
what
there.
Trina told me. Trina told me it was like people who wear glasses thing. And I was just
Yeah.
like, oh, what the fuck?
It
But
doesn't happen
yeah, to
often, but
me,
yeah, it is when I do feel it, I'm like, oh, that's weird.
yeah, and this is the first time I've ever had it, and I've felt it this whole week. And I'm like, give me surgery, like, give me anesthesia. Like, I'm telling you, I'm like, knock me out for this shit. Because I told Trina, I was like, yo, do some surgery on me because women love that shit. Okay, beauty is pain. They can't wait to inflict it on you. And she's like,
Yeah.
hold still, holds my hair out the way. She is squeezing the shit out of this thing, like for like a good 30 seconds. I'm in agony, my nigga. Like this shit's still in here.
Try to
I'm
like
like, fuck.
ice it down.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just the fact that a woman couldn't get it, like my wife couldn't
Yeah.
get it out. I'm just like, oh, this is a code red. that's my so I might actually go to the dermatologist just to get this professionally drained. I might
Yeah.
actually do that. But
It's
yeah, that was
funny,
it.
like I'm not a fan of the show, but I will say like I have hate watched that show
Mhm.
because like part of me is just like, yo, like you hear the stories of like the people that are going through these procedures, and not all of them are just like dirty motherfuckers. Like it's
Yeah.
actually very rarely it's a dirty person. It's actually just like unfortunate or whatever, just like weird biological things that like
Mhm.
cause people to have these cysts. But some of it, I'm just like, yo, it is
Yeah.
wild. It is not like regular zits. These are like tumor size like things. I remember this
Yeah.
one lady, she had like this big ass joint like that was in like her thigh. And it
Mhm.
was like it's almost like a stone almost. It was so big. It's like she would like
Mm.
it would bulge out that she had to like wrap around like, like she basically would like like wrap up her leg just to like kind of squeeze it down.
Compress it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just like, yo, that is wild. It's
Yeah. I
it's
would say
wild.
yeah, it feels like if I had to give you an estimate, it's like maybe half of a dime. That's
Yeah.
like and it's sitting right here. But yeah, it's super gross, and I don't want to talk about it anymore because I told you it makes my
That
skin crawl. So,
Yeah, that's an interesting way to start off the podcast for people that have never heard the show. It's like, oh, we talk about pimples to start off the show.
yeah, right. Hey, it's
Um,
something out of left field. We always talk about the same stuff, right? So fuck it.
Yeah. So before I get to my short one, I do have like a small, I guess, like impromptu one. So like I was telling you before we hopped on pod, I was just jamming the music last night, watching
Mhm.
SmackDown, and I went through a bit of little history, kind of not history, but like within the last 10 years of music.
Yeah,
Um, couple thoughts from my musical exploration last night. Um, YG's My Crazy Story, My Crazy Life,
My Crazy Life. Yeah.
one of the greatest albums of the 2010s to come out since 2010s. It's an amazing album. There's a
Hmm.
lot of layers to it, especially when you look back in hindsight. Very interesting. And I still to this day will say that YG got Kendrick on Really Be Smoking.
Mm.
And it's very hard to get one over on Kendrick.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, it won't get remembered in time, but I will always put a flag in the stands to say that, like, yo, if there was any times that somebody was like, oh, anytime Kendrick on a feature, like he always bodies the feature. He was featured on this joint.
Hmm.
YG got him on that joint.
Hmm.
Um, Shout out to Denzel Curry, Zeltron. Fucking amazing, man. Like been listening to him since Nostalgia 64 when he was part of the Raider clan. Down with what's his face? I can't remember his name, but he used to mess
Smoke
with
Perp.
Rocky.
Was it Smoke?
Smoke Perp, yes.
Yeah, Smoke Perp.
It was
Yeah.
Smoke Perp and not Smoke Perp. It was somebody else that was associated with Smoke Perp.
Um,
Um
I knew he knew
doesn't
X. He wasn't X
yeah,
wasn't Raider Clan, but I knew they fucked with each other though.
yeah, but either way, the growth from Denzel from Nostalgia 64 to today is one of my favorite stories. Like I always said it with Mac, listening to Blue Slide Park for the first time
Hmm.
and then, going all the way through his music, and shit like that up into his passing. And it's just like, man, like this dude really grew up from like the little nerdy 17-year-old white boy in Pittsburgh to like actually like making some like really amazing stuff. You know what I'm saying?
And
So
influencing a lot of people in his generation. People in his
yeah.
generation consider him an influence, and like ain't nothing but positive shit. Like when Schoolboy Q brings you up, and it's like his eyes watering up and shit, and it's like, hold on,
Yeah.
give a gangster a minute and shit. It's like, yo, that's a real nigga, that's a real gangster from motherfucking Compton, and he talking about this white boy from Pittsburgh. Like, what the
Yeah,
hell? But it's
man.
like, that tells you that he a real one for real.
Yeah, so shout out to Zell, because like yeah, the same route for like Mac. I mean, they obviously make different types of style of music, but man, like Zell, he just had a new song just came out. It was like a remix of "Hard in the Paint" called "Still
Yeah,
in the Paint." Oh my
still in the paint.
god,
Yeah, I heard it.
bro! I'm like the other two on it. I'm like, I'm sorry, like it's all right, but what Zell did here?
See, and it's funny because you bring that up because that song came out. It made me go back and listen to Waka, and I was like, hold on. Remember when, because like this was VCU days when Hard in the Paint
Hmm.
came out and Waka first hit. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, told you Lex Luger went to my high school. And then he just sent me down a goddamn Waka. And like you said, so it's funny. Yeah, I went on the music time travel ship for a bit too, since
Yeah.
last time we talked. But yeah.
And my last music bit, this is one that just kind of these are just fresh in my thoughts in my head. Um, I need some type of collective project, cohesive project from Maxo Cream and that Mexican OT.
Mhm.
Like they do songs together. They have singles to it. I need a cohesive project. I don't give a
Yeah,
care. I don't give a
you
fuck
want
if
a
it's
Dumb and Dumber, yeah.
yeah, I
But
don't
them
care
two,
if it's
exactly.
I don't care if it's 5-track EP, an LP, a mixtape, and I don't
Mhm.
care what you call it. I need that Mexican OT and Maxo Cream on a cohesive project because them two dudes are fire. I mean, Maxo,
No,
I've been
for
fucking with, and then that Mexican OT again, the way that man rolls his R's, he's got a flow.
yeah, for sure. Like it's funny because I would imagine because they've done so many songs together that they probably had something like a 2-pack that we didn't know about, or like maybe they made some shit earlier that is just now coming out. But clearly they got chemistry. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? So, and both of their voices are so distinct.
yeah,
The way that they rap. So I ain't mad at
yeah.
that. They ain't. That's not a. out of the park take at all. But
No. So though that's the music bit of my Sunday Percy's. Did you have one more? Did anyone that
no.
you had? My last one, and this is I gotta take it back to last Sunday, around the hours of 4:25 to about 7:45. I want to say 7:30. You know, Seth Rollins is what
A
I
Bears fan.
consider. Well, yeah, he's a Bears fan, but he's what I consider to be the best wrestler in the world today. He is my favorite wrestler. But you know, each week he puts out on Sundays at random time one specific tweet, and it's a variation of one or the other. It either says "I love football" or "I hate football." Uh this past week, as you mentioned, Seth Rollins is a Bears fan, and his Chicago Bears played my Washington Commanders. Left hand up. Left hand up. Let's get in the screen. Left hand up. And as we all have known and have seen for the past week, how that game ended. And in a spectacular I am him type of finale with my boy JD Slim Reaper 52-yard Hail Mary to win the goddamn game. And what does my boy Seth Rollins do? He sends out the tweet, "I hate football." And then added a little bit, "My God." And you know what makes this even better? I gotta share this. I gotta share the screen for this. Shout out to Peter Rosenberg, also Washington Commanders fan, holding it down in New York. He shared a little video that somebody recorded as Seth Rollins at the game and getting his reaction. So let's take a quick look at how that played out for Seth. Gotta get on you, boy. Oh, let's go, baby. Let's go. Oh, you're not even watching it. Damn. I
No.
gotta switch off the screen. Should have said something.
I thought it was frozen on my side. I was just about to.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, he's lit. He's
Seth
like,
Rollins,
oh, yeah.
all happy.
Yep. Smash cut 2.
Hey, let's go. Look at the shock face. Look at the shock face.
Open mouth.
Take your bum ass back to Chicago with your bum ass quarterback and Caleb Williams. Shout out to Caleb DMV. But all I have to say is, in my best Seth Rollins voice, and as you can see on the screen here for those watching live. We beat y'all bum asses. Take y'all bitch asses back to Chicago. Y'all suck. Y'all ain't making the playoffs. I hate y'all. We about to start the show.
Doors opening. Step back to allow customers to exit.
Cut through the crowd. The Habasha Hayes, Hampson.
Off the top rope, the French fry throw Moody. This is Wrestling Re-Up Podcast.
A weekly stroll through the avenue of wrestling.
Follow us on socials. On Instagram, send us an email at thewrestlingreup@gmail.com. Follow us on everything at The Wrestling Re-Up.
What up, everyone? Episode 17 of the Wrestling Re-Up Podcast. And we got a mixed bag of a week of wrestling, but there's some conflicts, on-screen conflicts. There's some real-world stuff that happened, so we got some stuff to talk about. Plus, we have a weird show that's happening in like an hour and 15 minutes called Crown Jewel that we'll talk about, but we ain't giving you the regular predictions like we normally do. We're on a bye week in regards to that, but yeah, let's get into the show.
Yeah. Hobbled into the bye week.
Yeah, hobbled into the bye week. Yeah, we'll talk about how I hobbled into this bye week as we can start off like with the NXT Halloween Havoc recap. This was a pretty good show overall. There's some things that was surprising. The record, either of us didn't win. Neither of us
Our
lost.
first tie. Yep,
Our
first
first
tie
tie.
since keeping track. But even with that, like we're going to talk about it right now. There's no way for us to. I mean, by the time we were looking at it, the Kaylani Jordan gauntlet match, even if we just knew it was a gauntlet match,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have picked her. Like if I would have known that she was doing a gauntlet match against all three, and we just had that conversation where you asked me, you was like, "Who's the Beyonce of this?"
Yeah.
And I was just like, "I'm not quite sure." And I was like, "I told you I had Fallon Henley in like that Kelly role. I'm pretty sure."
Yeah.
But yeah, she won the title, so it's like, all right, great for her. It'll be great to see her work with it because Kalani's already established it, and she's come such a long way. I remember when she first won the title, and I was like, all right, well, you got to show me something now because I really didn't know her character at all. But she's shown a whole lot more and improved so much more in the ring.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have the level listing here, but I would have to say this was probably my primo of the show. Because again, I think like we talked about, we didn't know what the stipulation was. Like the show had ended last week on NXT, and you know, we get the Zarya debut, and it just kind of leaves you on a cliffhanger of like what's gonna happen. And you know what my whole thing when Kalani won the title, where it was like, all right, good luck. Because this women's division is stacked. And you know, just from a keeping it kayfabe and like how your character is being presented is like you're kind of like the Rey Mysterio, even though you're not short like Rey Mysterio, but like just from a size wise, it's like you look like you're going to be the underdog going against the likes of Jada Parker or Sol Ruka,
or Jada, yeah.
And so, if we had known if it was a gauntlet match priorhand, I probably would have leaned to any one of the three. But again, I think the whole gimmick was that good luck as like you look like you're gonna have to go through a lot of adversity and you're gonna have some serious challengers and competitors and different stipulations that you might have to go through as you are defending this title. And again, as the inaugural champ, I thought she was great. She did a great job. I thought this was an excellent way to lose the title because I'm like, what could you do?
Exactly.
What could you do? If you pulled this off, then it goes back again. Hat tip, because I said it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. This ain't gonna be easy. This women's division is stacked. And so if she was able to pull it off, damn. But she didn't. And I can't fault you for that. That's 3 back-to-back matches that you had to come off on the back of like 5 seconds, theoretically 5 seconds, you just found out.
Yeah. Exactly.
You did what a champion was to do, and you did your best. I'm sure it went to the third first person. So it's like,
exactly.
What? How can you have any qualms about this situation? So I give this primo, damn near top shelf.
Yeah. You had Rich Holland beating Andre Chase, which you were right about that. And that's clearly to just get him over as like a monster heel. And like we're going to talk about NXT later, but they're really giving him that spot, and I'm willing to work with it, see where it goes. Because I'm like, right now he doesn't feel like a monster, but as I sit more with it, I told you how much I love Andre Chase and stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, Chase really is an eternal baby face. He kind of is Rey Mysterio, down in NXT. Obviously not legendary status, but just character wise, there's no way that Andre Chase could ever be a heel. So,
you don't think he can't be Gable?
I mean, I think he could be a nuanced heel, like with story. I don't think he would be like. I guess in that similar way, yeah, he'll kick somebody out of university, like it's unjustified or something. Sure.
Like a teacher going, like having the power go to his head and everything, just like really feeling himself.
Yeah. And I like the story with him.
He has
away.
He has heel like facial hair too.
Oh, yeah, true. He does have facial hair.
His facial hair is very heelish.
Yeah. But yeah, both of the big champions retained, Trick and Tony. I mean, we knew that wasn't going to budge, right? And the only other thing we were split on was the new arrival of Stephanie, Vaquer, and Julia ended up being Roxanne and Cora Jade. So yeah, that's our tie.
I mean, I wasn't surprised per se. I'm just For me, it goes back to what I was saying last week. I guess I just don't know what they're doing with Stephanie and Julia. It's not a bad thing. It's just like, okay, so we really just gonna keep them as a tag team. Okay.
Yeah. but maybe we're not. Like I said, we have this exact. I hope that they win and they immediately break up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So fingers crossed. Because they don't look. They don't look super attached to the hip. But I think this is a case of Fraxium, where you got Nathan Frazier and Axiom, who are awesome individual wrestlers, and it takes you a bit to like believe that they're tag team champions, or believe that they're a cohesive tag team. But now that they are, it's like I can't see them without each other. You know what I'm saying? So, and I do not want that to happen for them, especially just how awesome as individual performers they are. You know what I'm saying? We were just talking about this women's division. We're going to talk about it more when we get to NXT on Wednesday. But I say that to say they won. That don't mean that they got to stay together. It's like, hey, appreciate the help, homegirl. You know what I'm saying? We both new here. But if I got to square up with you, then that's just what it's going to be. That's what I think it should be anyway.
I mean, I think that would be the way I would kind of prefer it to be, in a sense, where it's like, okay, even if they were to keep them as a tag team for a while, not necessarily an official tag team, but like they are allies.
Looking out for each other. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can understand them being allies, but I do think at some point there is a competitive nature between both of them that maybe this turns into like a Becky Charlotte rivalry, where it's like once friends turn into like the most heated competitors.
Exactly. Like, even though they're both new, this is all story already. Like, you know what I mean? You can work with everything that they've done. So it's like, we can already see the beginning of that like final blow off match with it's them two getting their arms raised together at this, past pay-per-view. So that'll be probably one of the first things either one of them gets shown in that video package. But
anything else that stood out from Halloween Havoc? Did you have any primos or like top shelves? I know I said Kalani was my favorite match on here, but
I would give. Yeah, I would also give it to Kalani for most enjoyable match overall.
Okay,
for sure. Just by a hair over. Like the women carried this show, or they've been carrying this week. Or
definitely. So now we are, as far as PLE pop-up show predictions, I am 1-6-1 going into this week's bye week. And Moody is 6-1-1. So a fitting way for me to go in to try to catch my breath as we come out of Crown Jewel and then make our way over to Survivor Series War Games in a couple weeks.
Right.
So.
And just a very slight segue, since we talking wins and losses now. Man, this shit is so funny. I'm so prepared. I'm gonna tell you right now, y'all get 3 years. 3 years. I think this is super generous because we're only, what week is this of the NFL season? 9?
We're about to start 9.
This is week 9. Commanders fans are insufferable. so I'm just saying, like,
I don't want to hear that shit.
Hey, you know, it's
I get it. You're in a group chat and you're in the DMV surrounded by niggas.
No. Yeah. I got a specific story I want to tell you. At work, you know, the homie is DJ is a Commanders fan. He's like, I come in and he's like, man, y'all should be looking for a quarter. You taking a quarterback, right? And I'm like, man, shut your ass up. Halfway through the season with your first quarterback in 20 years. What are you talking about?
Ever.
Like, if you don't, exactly. I'm like, if you don't, he acted like he just forgot what losing was. I'm like, oh, okay. All right, that's wild. Enjoy yourselves, please, but chill the fuck out. Like, that's all I'm saying.
That happened on the Dominique Foxworth show with the white boy that's on the show. He was like, "Oh, you just lost it. Now you got yourself a quarterback, and now you don't. I don't even know these peasants no more."
And you should be drinking it up. You should be drinking it up. But it's like any NFL fan is already aware. We're already aware of Jaden Daniels. You do not need to be like, "Hey, you know he's the MVP, right? And all this shit, but it's like, hey, that's how you should be. But anyway,
Hey,
I just
the
brought
fact
that up
that he's
because
in
of
the
the
fact that
records.
he's in the conversation is wild. Like, I think, and it not, you know, it's more so to the point where it's like, I think any of us, right, whether it be me, you, or you know, LA, who's a Jets fan, right, having anybody on our team, whether they're a rookie or a 10-year vet, 15-year vet, being in the MVP conversation is wild. Because like you guys gone to the AFC Championship, you've had all pros on that team. You had, you know, defensive player of the years or whatever it may be.
Yeah,
it ain't the MVP. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so like just that be able to have that conversation is wild. And then it's the fact that it's like, yeah, and this dude has only played 8 games. Wild.
Yeah.
It's
right.
I it'd be wild if it wasn't even happening for my team. Like that's how like it's
Just
crazy.
the pick up and go of it. But yeah, I just mentioned that because since we are mentioning records, 6-1-1, you know. So and 1-6-1, it's like, hey, you're on the upswing now. It's some slow progress, but you get in there. So, but yeah, let's head to Raw. You should lead us on Raw because you got the highest rated thing up here.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not really fair because it's more of an indicative of like just Raw just not being that entertaining. Pre-tapes suck all of the enjoyment out of all of this stuff. I think you can kind of feel it, you know, that like the show is pre-taped. But yeah, my primo is Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed. Hey, Seth Rollins, my guy. Bronson Reed, what a surge in the past 2 months. Like I don't think I've ever seen not only just a big man get elevated, but just anybody just get elevated to this degree where it's like, okay, like Bronson Reed is a serious threat. And he like, you know, what was the thing that he said about 2 months ago to bum ass Adam Pearce? Yeah, I'm gonna make a name for myself or something along those regards, right? And what has he done since? He's taken out dudes, like he's demolished them. And so like these backstage segments where like they're just continuously brawling. Is it a bit repetitive? Sure, but hey, it's the best thing that you got going. So shout out to them. I'm still all in on this feud, though. You have some thoughts on this because you feel different.
No, it's a joke. It's a joke, obviously. Okay. This is obviously a primo work. There's no discussion. Like real work wise, it's primo. Duh. I put this on Reggie because you know this hits a fucking sensitive spot for me. When I hear that they're because you know whenever Seth gets hurt, because like you said, he is the best wrestler in the world to some. He's definitely in that conversation. He's not lower than, you know, wherever in your top 5. You know what I'm saying? He's more than established. Future Hall of Famer already. But because of that, you have to protect him whenever he's not like in the dominant position, right? I mean, it doesn't take that much storytelling with Bronson Reed because obviously he's physically larger than him. Duh, it makes sense that Bronson Reed could overpower him. But more so the protecting him storyline wise. When I hear, you know, because he does the Death Valley driver off the back of the truck into some tables.
Yeah.
And immediately they start bringing up, oh man, he's been taken to, you know, local medical facility for a back injury. And I'm like, anytime I hear Seth's back, I'm like, we're not doing predictions, obviously, but this nigga winning. That's immediately what I thought. Because the sensitive spot for me is, you know, damn well Shinsuke should have won that fucking title back in, what was it? I don't know. It was sometime, but 2 years ago. It was on during when Seth was in his championship run, establishing the title. But still, I understand you got to establish it. But so just anytime I hear Seth's back, I'm like, you could have picked any other part of his body because we know he's not the, I guess, most amazing consistency seller like throughout a match where it's like, oh man, you just put me through a table, but it's like, oh, Phoenix Splash off the top to the outside, you know, like 2 minutes later. So that was all it was. I was like, you couldn't have picked anything else. I just immediately made me think of Shinsuke. And I'm like, where the fuck is Shinsuke? And obviously he's like an ambassador or something, but we shout out to him. Anyway, obviously this is great work. The best part about this whole thing was the fucking accuracy that Bronson Reed had with the contact throwing a trash can directly at you know, Seth's head. That was just like, I don't know, almost like video game shit Like in a sense of like I felt like he was aiming it up. Like he's got up to like 88% accurate. He was like, yeah, that's a good shot. Direct hit. Like, I was like,
like
oh
Angry
shit, that was
Birds.
funny.
It's like Angry
Yeah.
Birds.
And Seth sold that perfectly. Like, oh shit. Like perfectly turned into it. But yeah,
This
this
is
is
a
the best thing
singles
on
match.
Raw for sure.
This is a singles match, and they've just been brawling. You know,
Mm.
it. Does this match end with a decision?
Yeah, Seth winning.
You guys Seth winning.
But we're not doing predictions, so
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about loosely, I guess, when we get to the end. My future booking for this is because I think so. Seth has been out on television, because of Bronson Reed attacking him. Seems only right that Bronson Reed goes out at some point. So, what is WWE's favorite match, especially when they go to like a gritty city?
mm. a street fight.
Yep, a street fight. And where is Saturday night's main event going to be?
In Chicago?
Long Island.
Long Island. There we go.
What if you could figure out like the number of city street fights? Like, I'm pretty sure a Long Island street fight probably has been the most.
Mm-hmm.
And a Long Island street fight as the main event on Saturday night's main event between Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins seems like that's your main event.
Thinking about it right now, yeah. Unless there's some type of women's title, women's exchange. Like you also called Tiff cashing in. That can happen earlier in the show because that's her like stealing something, right? So yeah, two things can be true.
I'm just saying, like, it just seems like it's fitting for them to do a Long Island street fight on Saturday night's main event, and it'd be fitting. It seems like the cards align on that. So I say that to bring it up. But that was my primo for the show. I really didn't have anything else from Raw.
Yeah. Well, we'll get through the quick one. I'll run through this because not too much to say on it. But one of my mids, I would say mids pointing down because I was disappointed, was Dominic. I don't know why I thought it was going to be a different former world heavyweight champion, but Carlito last week is like, oh yeah, I got you a match with a former world heavyweight champion, and if you win, then you get a world title shot. And I don't know why I thought it was going to be anybody other than Damian Priest. So that was more so the disappointing part.
Who on the roster would even qualify for that? I guess Seth, but like he's booked up. Like,
yeah. I mean, if Randy wanted to come back, like just be on appearance again, I mean,
Finn.
I don't know. Finn, yeah, but that's the teammate.
Kofi.
So yeah, Kofi. There you go. Yeah, that's somebody. But I was just like, duh, of course it's Damian. So
or Miz.
That's why it's Miz. There you go. But yeah, the underhanded tactics of the Judgment Day continue, and I had it written down as here. He wins an ass whooping because he beat Damian Priest, but it's like, all right, if he actually won a title shot, then he's just gonna get his ass chopped to death by Gunther. So that's why I had it written there.
It's like, okay, good luck, Dominic.
But that's the good thing about it because it's like, even from his point of view, it's like he's like, yo, I'm in my prime, but you still gotta like. If anything, it's hard to get a title match even in the fucking first place. You know what I'm saying? So like, even just getting the shot, like, he's like, I'm about to be world heavyweight champion, which he's not. But I believe Dirty Dom thinks he's about to be world heavyweight champion next week. So, or whenever that match is set up for,
Yeah. One thing about not necessarily just Dominic, but I guess the Judgment Day is more so the Dominic and Liv relationship is like, it's more so Liv. I think Liv is a good heel. I think now that she's, I guess, taking a backseat to Rhea, and as far as story wise, why are you bad? Like, what's her motivation other than just like I'm a bad person? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand the heel tendencies of her. Like, the motivations make sense with Rhea, but now that like you've kind of seemed to move past that a little bit, in kayfabe, not shooting with Rhea's injury. It just seems like I'm just out here just to be an annoying bad person. and it kind of misses me a bit.
You're hitting on what I said. What was this 2 months ago or however long ago it was when I was like, yo, I get it with Rhea, but it's like she's holding the women's world championship hostage in this one specific feud. And even though she like cleared that hurdle and she had time for other challengers, but the only one they came up with was Zelina Vega. You know what I'm saying? It's like you had time to build out the character a little more, and I think that's why she feels disappointing now, because you could have really filled out that character outside of Rhea, but it's
like I just wish there was
that, I guess.
Yeah, I wish there was like a bit more depth to her heel motivations, just something that was just beyond. Now that you've done everything that you've done to Rhea, is like, again, the same thing with the Judgment Day in itself. It's like, all right, are y'all niggas just gonna be bothering Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley for their entire careers? Or are y'all gonna get a life? Because right now, y'all just are just an annoying, like, freshman college group. You know what I'm saying?
I don't feel like it would feel that way had Finn beat Damian, because we would have thought that push was coming. Clearly, it's just like maybe we're just early on that gun, too early to call that shot for Finn really being in the world title picture. But I think that has something to do with it too.
Yeah. So I mean, again, none. I like Liv. I understand the heel character. I just wish there was a bit more depth to the character that would not be so focused on one person, but more so on like, what is your heel purpose here as a heel? What is your heel reasoning in totality as it relates to the WWE, and not just one specific person in a feud? So
yeah. And if I had to like just actually answer that question right now, I would say, like, even outside of Rhea, I would say it's just about cheating because I have the best cheater in WWE, and I think they've really put that over, even in multiple senses of the word.
He literally got him a T-shirt that says "Latino cheat," and I was like,
exactly,
that's
wild.
Perfect. That's wild that they've made that shirt.
They've been making that for or not making that, but they've been calling him that for at least like a solid month. Like, they've gotten over Latino cheat, and I'm like, yeah, that's fucking perfect, because he's a heel and he's a cheater, so like a relationship cheater. So I would think she's feels like an extension of Dom's heel, because she's kind of under his spell. You know what I'm saying? Just
yeah, but even his heelness has depth, because we know he is not who he says he is. We especially,
we know he has a good father.
Especially like people like our age. It's like, bro, we saw you little 8-year-old playing with your little PSP with Eddie Guerrero telling you I'm your poppy. What you talk about? You know what I'm saying? Like, we are in on the joke, and we get it. Like with Liv, it's like you came back heel with some personal reasons, and okay, now you've gone through that. It's like, what is your heel motivation? It's like if you look back at The Miz or someone like Triple H or something like that, it's like, yeah, I'm a heel. I'll do dastardly things, but it's an all with respect to say that, like, I'm the best. I'm the game, right? And so, like, at any cost, Triple H, you know what his deal is. It don't matter who he's talking to. It could be Randy, it could be Triple H, it could be The Rock, it could be Stone. It don't matter. At the end of the day, Triple H wants to be on top of that mountain, and he will do anything to get to that top of that mountain. I don't know what Liv's motives are, other than just like, I'm here just to being the most dominant women's champion, which is a general statement, with the most handsome man in the world. And that's basically all she's been saying, because everything else that's given her depth has been just based in Rhea. So that's what we're missing. The other mids I had is like, man, the return of the War Raiders, just seeing them as the War Raiders again and winning this triple threat, like number one contendership versus LWO and New Day. This is just excuse me, because I think it was Eric. Eric was the one that was out. Ivar, we know he's the bigger guy that's been actually given time in NXT and stuff when he was on his like mini solo run. So just having them back together, I think this just shows the importance of just a rebrand.
and, you know, what it can do for you. And that we're right sometimes, or a lot of the times as fans, you know, I mean, I guess the customer is always right. But we're fans in this sense, and fans don't know what they're talking about because y'all ain't in the trenches. So it's like, I think that's where wrestling gets kind of in that gray area. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So as compared to regular sports, but yeah, I'm just glad to see them back. And actually, I'm like, okay. Same thing with like Motor City Machine Guns. It's like you bring that they feel new, even though they're not new. They feel new because we haven't seen them in forever. You know what I mean? And just that repackage, and it's like, all right, we got another tag team here on Raw.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what happens with Sarah Logan and if she fits into this package because, you know, LWO, they have Zelina Vega. The New Day don't have a woman associated with them. But, I mean, the LWO, they lost the match because of American Made interference, you know, and, you know, Ivy Nile interfered in that. So it'd be curious to see if Sarah Logan figures her way into the War Raiders clan.
Yeah.
But interesting.
But
So
yeah,
is that going to be next week on Raw? The War Raiders versus the Judgment Day?
oh yeah, that would
Who has
be
the belts?
yeah. It's Judgment Day. It's
Okay,
Finn and
again.
JD.
Again, you gotta get them titles off them dudes, bro.
It's just like on the factions. It's like it's so hard for you to put titles on a faction, and
especially when the
not
faction
have
don't
them-
defend them.
That's the problem. Yeah, like when you give the championship to the faction instead of the faction earning it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
and not to say obviously in a kayfabe sense. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
But
like again, like when the New Age Outlaws were part of DX, they held the titles a lot of the time, and they would fight those titles. They would defend those titles, and it's like, okay, cool. Like again, the fact that like when we think about these tag team titles, and it's just like, oh yeah, who has these titles? Oh yeah, yeah, it's the Bloodline. Oh yeah, it's the Judgment Day, and it's like they'll lose it for a month, and then they'll get it back, and it's like, okay, like so. I do think the War Raiders will get their titles. And would this be their first main roster tag titles? I believe so.
yeah, yeah, unless because the Street Profits, remember that was like 2019, 2020. Maybe they had the titles during like pandemic time and we don't remember. Because I feel like they've been around long as Street Profits. But
yeah, I mean, could be mixing up a NXT tag
either
title,
way. But yeah,
either way,
I'll be glad to see the titles on a tag team and not on a faction. So
cool. Any other thoughts before we leave the flagship?
That was it for me for Raw.
Cool. Let's move over to Tuesday. And before we step into the bodega, there was some news that broke earlier in the day about WWE launching a developmental program for indie wrestlers. From Sean Ross Sapp, it says they've announced WWE have announced an indie wrestling program which includes providing certain schools and towns with designated tags to gain a pathway to WWE. Additionally, like schools such as Booker T's Ring Reality of Wrestling, Cody Rhodes School, Randy Orton, and a few other schools around the country.
Yeah,
I think it's 5
the
in
Nightmare.
total.
Yeah, the Nightmare Factory, the Brave and the Black, Seth Rollins. That's the one in Iowa.
Yeah, Seth. Yeah. Yeah, they all are basically in this what they call a WWID program. And it's interesting. There's been a mixed bag of reception about this. Some people think it's good, some people think it's harmful. What are your thoughts? Just to kind of so I don't influence you.
My knee-jerk reaction was negative, just because WWE is always the end goal, right? Like they're already the WrestleMania. It doesn't get bigger than that, right? I mean, we can have arguments about AEW Wembley if you're a diehard from AEW, but still, they have the history and all that stuff. So the cream of the crop is always going to rise, and they're going to get that phone call from Triple H. So with it starting at like the effectively, I'm seeing this as the teenager level. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you can
Mm-hmm.
start wrestling school at like 14. You know what I'm saying? You can get in indie matches at 16. This is where, like, if you're a young wrestler, you should really be, I guess, finding yourself. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you want to work for, this is where I think it's tricky because everybody wants to work for WWE. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I don't want to like pigeonhole just a WWE thing, which is why I'm not going to say I
Exactly.
cape. I don't want to cape for AEW, but this is why I bring up fucking TNA and why I bring up New Japan and shit like that because other shit is cool too. You know what I'm saying? There is a space for even the gory fucking CZW for some people. You know what I'm saying? If you want to take that route, so the thought of you um being attached to WWE, like, and like them also getting the they talk about them getting like an official prospect tag, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Whichever like wrestlers that they sign. So this is clearly like a NIL transition, or maybe you're not NIL type of thing. This is their version of that. And I'm
Well,
just
yeah,
like,
because the NILs, you got to be like within the NCAA. So these are
yeah. This is
non-collegiate athletes. This is
yeah,
like These are like the Meachins of the world that were just like, yo, I'm wrestling in Arlington, Virginia.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, exactly.
and somehow now there's an opportunity for me to possibly get into WWE.
However, this does make sense because I remember saying this to you before that they only got one performance center. That doesn't make sense. They're WWE. You know what I'm saying? Because that shows
Yeah,
we've seen the importance of
technically,
the performance center. We've seen the importance of the performance center in
yeah,
the fucking main event right now of WWE, right? They were all black and gold NXT, which I said is like the best time ever in WWE.
yeah.
So that makes sense to me. And now that we have Jada Parker and we got even the newer, like probably what the 3.0 version of like this new class down in NXT, what do you think that performance center looks like? We remember what those photos look like when it's just like all of them in like the black t-shirt.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure if you got everybody in a room that applied and probably had the skill to be in the performance center, you're probably looking at 500 people. You can't do all that. You know what I'm saying? So it also just makes sense in just a corporate expansive kind of way.
Yeah.
So that's the good thing of it, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you can also be a young kid and then like go to that and be like, I don't like this. You know what I'm saying? So I see both sides. I would just hope it just doesn't dilute the indie wrestling scene. Because that's what indie wrestling is for, because that's the same thing why we're not watching NXT UK anymore. That's why we're not watching that, because we just stripped everything from that. Like, you're not getting that past me when I watch NXT UK. I watch all that shit. So that's my fear now, is like, if I want to look at, not ROH specifically, because that's AEW. I was just trying to think of another, smaller indie than
that's
yeah, we get the point that it would just be like, oh shit, now there's nothing here. So but that's all.
No, that's a great take. That's a great take. And it's interesting that the way you I'm glad I asked it for your opinion first, because how you started on the negative and I guess kind of worked your way to the middle. I kind of started with the positive and then I kind of worked my way to the middle. And I was like, oh, cool. Like opportunities, Mendies and stuff like that. That's what's up. Like to see WWE just not be like, this behemoth, But then, as you go throughout the day and you see, indie wrestlers and just people that are not associated kind of give their thoughts and say, like, this is not a good thing, this, that, and the third. I'm like, okay, let me think about this a little bit more thoroughly. And I think you've hit on a lot of the major points as far as like how this could be harmful to the indies in the long term. I think if I was to read this is not giving me any bail to WWE. This is more just kind of playing it out, right? And so when I see certain things where it says, when we have this announcement where it's like, we have announced in like the way the WWE says it on their Twitter, said WWE has launched WWE at WWEID, a first of its kind developmental program designed to provide up and coming independent wrestlers a pathway to a potential career in WWE. That line, that pathway to a potential WWE career is the 1% of the 1%.
For sure.
That is like the ultimate selling factor, right? Is by going to here, you could potentially be Roman Reigns, Bianca Belair.
Yeah. At the ultimate, at the ultimate level.
So that's like
just
1%.
That's foot in the door. Yeah,
that's 1%, right? And so what I hope happens, and again, this is it's the WWE. They're a behemoth. You know what I'm saying? Like this is probably not going to happen. But for people that go into this, you can't blackball them if it doesn't work out. As WWE, you can't blackball these people and be like, and hold their careers back because you don't want them to take advantage of whatever learning that they were able to gain from you guys and it applied somewhere else. If this is for the betterment of wrestling, then like, okay, you get all these people coming into the Performance Center and to all of these other associated academies. Not all of them are going to make it to the WWE. But what they are gaining is promo skills, in-ring work, teaching from like real teachers. You're not just learning on the job or from your peers. You're learning from the likes of Booker T and the Boogeyman and all these people. You know what I'm saying?
Snow or whoever else.
Like that's valuable. And so to be like, oh well, it didn't work out. Now you got to come up with the new gimmick. You got to do all this stuff. You can't get in there and not work out and then have to start at zero. It can't be.
Yeah.
It needs to be something that's like, even if it don't work out, you've gained the tools to at least be a part of this industry to whatever degree. So that's where I'm like, that's would be my ideal, is that like, you can't tie these people up into these litigious contracts that basically takes any kind of opportunity away from them if it doesn't benefit you in some sort.
Yeah.
Because to your point, like the Performance Center at this point is not meant for indie wrestlers.
No, it is not.
It's meant for collegiate athletes that are making that transition. It's meant for NIL people and then people that are already in the WWE system that are going back down there to train. But for all the other indie wrestlers, it's like you kind of have to be prepared to come into WWE. And
to wrestle that style.
We talk about it. It's like there's a certain style and a way of going about WWE that is different than going to any other wrestling show in the world. And so for indie wrestlers, we talk about this where it's like, okay, you've built up enough of your craft, Ricochet, or Seth Rollins or Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens or whoever it may be, the people that we know that have been in this game for years before even getting to WWE. It's like you've built up your game that like who you are as a wrestler, what you are doing and things of that nature. We just gotta, not mold you, but like, give you a little bit of like, hey, here's how we do it here and go. Right? You can you can do that. But for like the people that are coming in from like the Bianca Belairs of the world, the Kalani Jordans that have no gives a they did not care about wrestling to the degree that we are, like that we do. You know what I'm saying? Like they just was like, hey, I'm a natural gifted athlete. It didn't work out for me here, or this seems like a much more career beneficial opportunity than it was to, be a pole vaulter, whatever it may be.
Pole vaulter.
I forgot what I was trying to think of. What Sol Ruka was her thing was, but it's like, okay, here you are a fresh slab of marble that we're sculpting. Right? If you were just a square, like if Bianca was just a square block of marble, they carved that bitch up. Not Bianca, like the marble. They carved that joint up to make it look like that. You know what I'm saying? But like someone like Motor City Machine Guns, what is the Performance Center going to do other than maybe clean up some of their promos to be better for WWE than it was for TNA? So I say that all to say is that don't screw these people over.
Mm-hmm.
There's enough money out here. There's enough wrestling out here for everybody to eat. So, like, just because they don't make it to the WWE doesn't mean that you got to screw them over. The WWE pathway is only the one for like the 1%. But that's the one that gets everybody engaged and wanting to apply. But if you don't get there, it doesn't mean that as an indie wrestler you should stop. It doesn't mean from a WWE you should be blackballing these people or putting handcuffs behind their backs when they try to take the skills and the knowledge that they've used and try to apply it in other avenues of wrestling.
Yeah.
So
I
say that
also do. I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You had one more thing.
I was done.
Oh, okay. You were. I thought it was because obviously I'm just thinking about this in a wrestling capacity, like on TV, like as them as characters, right? Like, which we say that's the 1%. You know what I'm saying? That you're even going to get to Raw or SmackDown. But I like that the fact that it says, you know, just a career in the business, because it's like I thought of Cole as you were reading off their statement. And it's like, oh, yeah, my buddy Cole, you know, he worked backstage at NXT. He was in production. So it doesn't even have to be like wrestler. Or like I think of Samantha Irvin, where it's like maybe, you know, they have another great vocalist that's there. And they're like, you know, she's getting the heights and weights down for everybody. You know what I mean?
It's a TV show at the end of the day, right? It's like there's stuff for here to be used. And it doesn't necessarily mean that like, oh, well, the knowledge that we gave you from as WWE is so proprietary information that we got to put a 90-day no compete clause on you, even though you never even stepped in a WWE facility.
Mm-hmm.
Like what? Like that'd be wild. Like that'd be wild.
That'd be crazy. And the only other thing that I can think of as I like go through it is in my head rattling it around. My last thought is like once again, just like the prospect tag is like that's just a signing. You know, I feel like these are just like I said, I can't get like the teenager aspect out of my head. I feel like these are going to be like 14 and 15-year-olds because if you're 18, then you're already a legal adult and you can make your own decisions. You can be on TV. You know what I'm saying? So
it's you know, it's all the small little, you know, it's all the gymnasium house wrestling shows and stuff like that. Like it's a lot. It's a lot of wrestling out there.
Yeah. I mean, we got Javon Evans right now in NXT. He's like the youngest that I can really remember.
But how do you find the Javon Evans if he ain't? I don't know if he was a collegiate athlete, but I'm not saying he wasn't or not. But I'm saying, how do you find those Javon Evans? It's harder to find the Javon Evanses than it is to find the Biancas or the Obafemis.
Yeah, because they're actually NCAA for sure. This is where I say it has to be the teenager thing because like I know you can do indie shows at 16. So it's like this is them just signing kids. I'm pretty sure. Like when it comes down to it, and then you just put them regionally, you know, wherever they are.
I mean, age definitely plays a factor because I'm like, if you're 33, like how much are you hate to be it like this, but it's like how do you get into the business? How do you get into the business? If you're 33, you've been in independence for at least 10 years?
At least, yeah, for sure.
And so like how is this going to get you into I don't know. It could work out. It's just, you know, to your point, it seems much more of a younger person's game.
Yeah, I just say that to say because AEW is not a threat, but just because they at least exist in North America now, it gives them another kind of
this helps. Theoretically, this would help AEW.
Yeah, it would. The cream would rise to the top, I would think. So it's like this is where I think. Yeah, oh no, that's it. I'm sorry.
No,
that's it. It wasn't even.
Okay, that's fine. It's going to be an interesting thing that I think we should probably like, you know, monitor as it moves on, as we like, you know, casually see updates of certain things. Because again, like WWE, just in general, you know, they took over the territories back in the 80s and destroyed that, you know. So like, you just hope that again, like we're in a new age where it's like AEW and WWE, and then literally every other wrestling company in the world, they're two separate things. In my eyes, they're two separate things.
Yeah.
Like, and so there's enough money, there's enough fragmentation as far as viewership, where you don't need to say like I need to have 90% of the share. Like We can multitask. We watch 4 or 5 wrestling shows a week.
Yeah.
Like, people can eat out here, so good. That was a good conversation. Good conversation.
Yeah, we dug
ready
into that
to go in the bodega?
for sure.
You have more than me.
All
I
right.
have like
This
one small
was
comment, so I'll let you rock
this was the best show of the week, easily.
Okay.
For primos, I got Fraxium retaining up against Javon Evans and Cedric. All of that was great. They got like 15 minutes. Did you watch the match?
Yeah, I've seen some. There was some good stuff in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once again, this is just like where Fraxium, they are like Roxanne Perez to me. Like when you think about the booking game nowadays, like now, like she says, like, oh, I'm the dream match opponent for everybody, which is true. Like when you play that game in your heads, and it's like, I want to see Fraxium versus like FTR and like Young Bucks and just everybody because their chemistry is so good. The only thing I was annoyed by, I was annoyed. Not to say that I didn't like it, but it was just like it was a negative pulse on the match to me. I would have preferred if it was completely clean. However, Wesley comes in to like distract Javon Evans because you know they got their own little beef going on, or they're like continuing that. And Javon, what the fuck were you doing, dog? Like he does leave Cedric, like because he goes to fight Wesley, showing up with a steel chair, and it's like, what the hell? Like you in the middle of a match, bro? The tag team championship match on top of that, like so.
Sound like he
you can't shoot
out here.
I can't shoot Javon no bail. I can't shoot Javon no bail at all. But yeah, he left Cedric out there and they lost. But Cedric, even by himself, he had a nice little like sequence where it looked like, oh, is he gonna pull it out? Hell no, golden ratio to the dome. And they retain. So that's what they call it. That's the finisher.
I get it. It just makes me think of something else.
Oh yeah. And then
no, so I said, okay, so you saying Javon Evans was Tyreek Stevenson this week?
Yeah. Oh, direct parallel. Yeah, just to bring it up again for sure. Yeah, Javon, his head wasn't in the game. You got this. You flew too close to the sun, my guy. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because Wesley has a former.
He's feeling himself, man. He's feeling himself.
He can stand on his own 2 feet.
The rise, he's been on a jetpack. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, title matches. Oh, Randy Orton in St. Louis. Oh, it's all getting to his head. He's only 19.
It's true.
That's like giving candy to me. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna eat it all up. 19. I think that's got to be part of his gimmick. How long is this nigga gonna be 19? I feel like he's been 19 for 2 years. I know he ain't been here for 2 years, but I'm just like, all right, that should just honestly be his thing. Like,
he's like Randy Orton. He's like gonna be 18-year veteran. He's like, man, that boy 19.
Like, just keep that shit going. Like he got Benjamin Button disease or some shit. Like when he gets to the main roster. Oh shit. But yeah, the best women's segment as a whole, like throughout the week too. Daria squashing Brenley Reese, looking like female Brock Lesnar. That's obviously the comparison everybody's making. Yeah. Just because of the F5, if anything. And I told you, those arms. I noticed that at the debut. Before she even got physical, I was like, okay. Yeah. I can tell she brolic as fuck. She ain't Jordan Grace, but she big as shit. And speaking of Jordan Grace, like directly after Zarya squashes Brinley Reese, we get like the Mean Girls of NXT and like Fatal Influence all talking shit. And we got to get the faces and the heel off, basically.
Yeah.
And it also looked
preview.
Yeah, exactly. And with Jordan Grace showing up, you know, the juggernaut.
Yeah.
Bruh.
I'm the juggernaut, bitch.
She's so fucking different. Like, bro, yeah. Like even standing there, it's like cool to see her again. And I'm like, that really was the shot of like, oh yeah, best women's division, like as a brand, you know, in wrestling for sure. Because that's also without Jada Parker or Sol Ruco standing there or crap. Sir, what you say?
I was gonna say, you talking about Roxanne? Because Roxanne was there.
Roxanne was there. No, she was there. Yeah. No, I mean that's not Jada Parker. She wasn't in that segment. That's what I'm saying. There's
Yeah.
other women. That's
Yeah.
not Lola Vice isn't there
Yeah.
because they got their whole thing.
No Lash or Jakara.
Yeah, Lash and Jakara aren't there, which they're clearly
They're at Crown Jewel
on.
tonight.
Yeah, and we're not doing predictions once again, but I think that could happen because it's the non-canon universe. You know what I'm saying? It's like we went to sleep on SmackDown and we had women's tag team champions, and we wake up and it's like a blip. Like what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like where'd they go, Bianca? Jade, what happened? Don't know. You didn't get them taken from you. What happened?
What happened last time we had this conversation? The last time the Powerbuff girls were in a multi-team.
Yes, that's how you get them off of them. Yep.
And and what did you say happened? It was a fluke.
Mm-hmm.
You said it was a fluke that what you call it won last time when they beat Bianca and Jade.
Yeah, unholy union because they didn't do nothing else. They beat them one time, and the next time they challenged, they lost. They lost the titles to them.
Okay, they beat them. That way ain't no fluke. We're not digging back into old.
You brought it up.
We're not digging back. I'm just saying, if Jakara and Lash win, is that a fluke? Is it every time Bianca and Jade lose, is it just gonna be a fluke? Like that's basically what I'm saying.
I would say no, because now it's a history. I would say because if anything, y'all are playing down to your opponents or underestimating them, which should not be the case coming from faces. Also, y'all are both faces, which is also why I want them to lose the title so we can get on this Bianca versus Jade type shit. But that can be in the future sometime. But anyway, I'm projecting. Great face off, best women's division in wrestling, NXT women's division, and also not in this segment. It was the other women. With the only other thing the only thing I have ranked on this show at least. Tatum Paxley beating Wendy Chu in a casket match. Which that match was way more fun than it had any business being. Yeah. It's like NXT can always just pull this shit out. And this was also why I'd say I love gimmick, like dumb gimmick wrestling. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that Wendy Chu, like we've seen Wendy Chu bring her pillow out, even when she was a face, it's a regular pillow. And now she's a heel and she got this big ass, pillow that she's been loading stuff with. When I can see her in the match, and she just unzips a compartment, inside her pillow and dumps out some Legos. I believe that because she's fucking crazy now. I'm like, yeah, she would do that. She stole the North American Championship and was using it as a weapon in her pillow. So, I love the Lego spot.
She got put through the wooden bed, the bed frame.
Got put through the bed frame, like perfectly, like even spun into the bed frame perfectly, like because she stands up and gets the fire extinguisher to the face, and she's like falls over 360 perfect pirouette, taken out dead. So that was great too. That was the best stuff. What you got in Shake? Yeah, get to yours.
Yeah, my Shake. I titled it "Et tu, Papa?" Because I was actually surprised to see William Regal in the corner of Lexis King during his match against Charlie Dempsey for the Heritage Cup. And at one point in the match, Regal was trying to give brass knucks to Lexis King. And I'm like, yo, maybe I missed some story or something. I'm like, yo, you about to just give brass knucks to your opponent to knock out your own blood?
Honestly, I feel the same way because my last image of Regal in NXT was when it was him and Charlie Dempsey in the ring, and he was like, "I'll defend this cup better than you ever could," and it was like, "Oh shit, that's fire, father and son," having that moment. And now I wake up and it's like, "Yeah, what the fuck happened, Will? Why are you trying to get him to knock out your son?" I don't get it, but the only other thing that was significant.
I'm curious. I'm gonna watch it because I'm like, yo, why are you? I was like, damn, bro.
Yeah, and Lexis King also in that exact moment. I'm sure you caught it. He says, "Exactly, I'm not my father. Got to get that over." And I'm like,
yeah,
shouldn't we be over the fact that he's like, he's obviously Brian Pillman Jr. like legally, but that we know that that's his dad like already. I don't think he should. Or we should be past that point already. I would want to see more character development from Lexis King. I enjoy him just putting on matches more so than like, bringing up his dad as a story point because it doesn't make sense.
It could work just for the fact because of what we literally just talked about. It's like, well, Regal is Charlie Dempsey's father.
His father, yeah.
So
Only
like,
sure.
in that context, it's like, you're like the son I never had type of shit. Maybe you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the only way I can rationalize it. But I'll be on the lookout for it in the coming weeks, though, because I was like, first of all, Regal, the brass knucks is like it's Triple H's sledgehammer.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, like for him to pull out the brass knucks on his own son.
You really tried to kill him. Like, what the fuck is up with? And I guess this will be my last thing. I haven't said this before, but I'm pretty sure I should say Charlie Dempsey. This is I'll not call my shot, but like Charlie Dempsey should be, in my opinion, like top 10 PWI next year. He should be 9 or 10 next year.
Wow.
Yeah. Just because if anything,
that's a list of 500, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm exaggerating. Maybe give him to like the top 25. Make it super. That's the top 5%, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. Fractions and shit. But yeah, make him be top 25 just because every time I watch him, like when you talk about graps, my guy, British graps. Oh, man. Like Charlie Dempsey is able to fucking like, he takes me back to me being a kid playing WWE Raw. Like, he takes me back to like creating my creator character, Blackout. I remember he just wore all black everything. He had a do-rag and, they only gave us like low cuts back in the day and the chain and shit. And I remember mapping moves and, you got to associate like directions and graps together to like execute a certain move, right? It'd be like up in circle or down in circle will change your move, right? I feel like Charlie Dempsey is doing that every single Heritage Cup where it's like, oh, dragon suplex. Oh, full Nelson driver, into a pin. You know what I mean? Like that obscure ass move that I thought was just cool because it ended in a pinning combination. He can just do that. And he routinely does that. And I just maybe that's my favorite thing in wrestling. Or maybe I said something about myself.
It's the thing that's really, I think, is just the standout part about European wrestling, at least to me, is the fact that, when I look at like someone like Canada is, to me, is traditional technical wrestling. Right? European, it's like there's a lot of technical wrestling involved, but it's mixed in with like brawlers. And like, so like you even go back to someone like Regal back in the day, right? One of my favorite things that I love what Regal used to do is when he used to stomp when when you were like laid out on the ground with your back to the mat on the mat. And he was just kind of like, I think Randy also did this, but he was just kind of like stomp on you, like all around your body. I'm like, yo, that's the same. Joints. It's the same thing like Pete Dunne, joint manipulation. It's like, Sheamus, all these dudes that like, they could be bruisers, but then like there's a technicalness of like, oh, like you guys are like you said, you guys are like fighters. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't come off as wrestling. It comes off, it's like, oh, like, y'all, when Regal from the Blackpool of England, and I'm like, yo, Blackpool sound tough as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
I ain't never been, but it sound like y'all be scrapping out there.
For real. And actually, I'll even walk this take all
Wade
the way
Barrett,
back.
another
I just realized something. I know what my dream match is. It's Zack Sabre Jr. versus Charlie Dempsey. That's the dream match right there, because that's like the technical European, like you said, like where Bryan Danielson, he was taking the American Dragon. He was the best American technical wrestler, and that was a dream match. Like, bruh, now I want Zack Sabre Jr. in WWE just so I can see that, like, for the Heritage Cup or for something, That need to bring back the European Championship for that. I'd say that. Hell yeah. But, my other shake, I had to dig into Charlie Dempsey. I don't really care about, like, the Bubba Ray Dudley. Obviously we're just building towards like them using the Philadelphia spot. I just hope that like Devon is there, because honestly,
Devon will be there.
I would have rather, if it's just one of them, I'm just saying, if it was just honestly one of them, I would have rather that been Devon to show up.
Yes. Yeah, I would too, especially because Devon was in Trick's video Revolution that he dropped before Halloween Havoc. Devon, I think, will be there. But yeah, I would have preferred. Honestly, nothing against Bubba. I love Bubba. I love the Dudleys. It's more of like, this is why I don't really have much on the show, because it was like, we're just prepping this shit up for next week.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the entire show. It's like, oh, next week. Oh, we got RVD here next week. We got Bubba here next week.
Yeah. Great.
So I'm like, all right. And it seems like we're gonna get either RVD versus Wesley. Because, he said he was going to be there, and then as he walked away, Wesley was right behind him on the couch. Apparently, Ava just lets wrestlers just hang out in her office.
Yeah. Because I saw there was like
Nikita Lyons and someone else
back there.
Yeah, Nikita Lyons and someone else, and Wesley was just sitting there by himself. Like, I'm like, all right, so y'all just hang out with Ava, like she's like she's not your superior.
But I mean, we just vibing out over here at NXT. NXT Platinum, baby. Like I got a face tat now, and I'm Ava. I got like a devil horn or like above my eyebrow and shit. You know what I'm saying? We different. Well, it was drawn on, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not literally.
I thought you got like the the Gucci.
That'd be fire though. But I just thought that was. I was like, oh, because red face tats are very common, or red tattoos on like lighter skinned people. So at first when I looked at it, I was like, it's believable. And then, but yeah, it's not a tattoo, obviously.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Are we done with the bodega?
I am done. Oh yeah, Rhea. They showed Rhea.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
She made an appearance, and we wondered why, but that's clearly just to write her off because I guess she got hit in a drive-by. That's what it looked like.
They said that. I think it was last week. She gave a headbutt to Liv, and that's where she fractured her right orbital bone.
In kayfabe.
Okay.
The segment on the bodega on the show. You saw that, right?
I only saw the image. I saw the image. I didn't see what happened.
They were running up, like, because it's just in the parking lot, and they're like, "Oh my god!" Like you just see some refs like run past as somebody's on. Somebody was getting interviewed, and then the refs you just see run past the camera, and then you're like, "Oh no, hold on, we gotta follow these refs," and then it's Rhea Ripley like in a bloody mess, in a car. I'm like, yo, she gets a good shot in a drive-by. Like she's just like this, and I thought it was with the liberal use of makeup blood, clearly, but still, I thought it was interesting that I was like, okay.
I know, this is an injury to her orbital bone in her eye, but from a kayfabe perspective, she doesn't have a broken nose. But I'll ask this: we get Rhea Rip Hamilton?
Oh, dashing Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, Rhea Rip Hamilton.
Yeah, sure.
Hey. It won't make sense, but I'm like, it doesn't make sense from the actual injury standpoint, but I'm like, yo, give me the face mask and then headbutt Liv.
Yeah.
And it's a wrap. Liv is gonna be all bloody and shit. Dominic, he's so shallow in his attraction to Liv that it's like, oh, you're ugly now, and then basically just like leaves her or some shit like that. Like,
yeah.
I don't know, but Rip Hamilton Rhea. Let's go. Yeah. I'm calling it.
That'd be wild, but yeah, I'm down for that.
Yeah, dashing Rhea Ripley, that'd be a good one too. But see, Ariana Grace has the mask, doesn't she?
Oh yeah, that's right. But she does it. She does it because she's beautiful to protect her face.
Okay.
So it's a positive thing for her where she's beautiful and she's the beauty queen. So that's why. Okay. And then Cody, he had to do it. So, I'm sorry. Now we are on the subject.
Go ahead. No. Finish.
Cody. In the dark days of like late, I think it was 2009, going into early 2010s when he's Dashy Cody Rhodes, then he gets his face broken and he starts wearing a mask. And then he turns into like this, how he had this horrible, he starts complaining about he has this horrible visage of a face and he starts having the hood up like, I'm so ugly. Yeah. And that's when he's like all heelish and shit. So those are the only, and then Carmella used it also when she had her, and remember she had that diamond one.
Yeah,
those are like,
the bedazzled one.
Yeah, and she used that as a weapon. And so those are the three I can think about.
All right. Let's move over next door and grab some coffee at the coffee shop. And this is
Yeah.
actually probably one of my more enjoyable episodes of Dynamite in a while. So
think
everything's in mid, but it's like mid rising because I'm like, okay, like there's stuff that I'm actually intrigued to see what happens moving forward. But you got the highest thing on the card, so I'll let you start.
Yeah. And also, just to go to your point, is that like, yeah, it feels like we're in the dark days because obviously most of wrestling programming is WWE. So it's like WWE is in a slump, but it's like, oh, that's right. AEW is a completely different company. They don't have the same pay-per-view schedule. So, but yeah, the best thing I got happening on the show, actually, I'll have it tied because it's really a combination of this. But Moxley, yeah, a combination. Moxley sacrificing Wheeler. I thought that was such a badass thing to do. Because that's something that like a movie villain does. You know what I'm saying? That's a villain that you would like to see, like that do that shit. So, and also I think it's the combination of the fact that like Orange Cassidy even starts the show. He starts the show and is like, "Hey, shit is serious around here," and y'all know I don't take shit serious. Like the fact that they got Orange Cassidy taking shit serious is crazy. Like that should be like
that's hilarious.
in the ridiculous kayfabe gimmick area. This might be like top shelf. You're the first person to make him give a fuck. Like you know what I'm saying?
Did he take his hands? Did he take his hands out of his pockets?
Yeah, and he talked frankly. He did like that was Orange Cassidy he never talks that long. Like even in backstage, interviews, he's always like, "Yeah, I guess." You know what I'm saying? That's his whole thing.
It's like, what was not Kevin James, the director.
The director of Kevin James is a director.
Dogma and
oh yeah, Kevin Smith.
I think his name's Kevin Smith, right? Yeah, Kevin Smith. Yeah, because he plays Silent Bob. He's basically Silent Bob. He's basically Silent Bob. And then every time Silent Bob speaks, it's like, the fuck? Like where the hell did this guy come from?
Exactly. It's always a dissertation. You're like, yo, this man knows quantum physics and shit. Like, oh, what the? All right. But so it was the combination of that and actually when BCC show up and beat him down like later in the night. And in order to do that, he puts Wheeler Yuta's head in a chair. Like he's about to do it like he did it to Chuck Taylor and like he did it to Bryan Danielson. I'm just like, oh shit. But then I just thought that was great storytelling because they pull him out of it because, Orange Cassidy shows up, they start beating him down. And in the same way that we was like, who is like Xavier Woods is getting acting awards? Yeah. Dog. Wheeler in this, like he has this moment when they take him out of the chair and obviously he recoils like an abused puppy. And he's like getting his head together, like, what the fuck? I can't. And they're just beating Orange Cassidy's ass, and they're not even paying attention to him. But you see his mind like go into like, if you can't beat him, join him, and he starts viciously beating Orange Cassidy down more than anybody else. It's just that like brainwashing shit, clearly that like Moxley has over him. So it's just like
Wheeler Yuta's been honestly one of the more interesting characters on any television show. Probably either like he's up. Like I think you made a good comparison with like Xavier. As far as like being intrigued on a weekly basis, like him and Xavier are up there as far as like, what is going on?
Been going for a few months now. This is a few months for both of them now. So that's pretty good. Or I'm pretty sure I had him primo last week because he was the best promo last week. What's the matter?
I remember I was saying before like the whole Daniel Bryan turn, I was like, I just don't trust Wheeler Yuta. And sure enough, I was right. But that's why it's interesting to see how it plays out. And he kind of, it's easy to say because, he's literally standing next to Daniel Bryan. But there is a bit of a Daniel Bryan-ness to Wheeler Yuta where it's like, he just seems like an underdog, but this dude's nice. Yeah.
It's just that like, and I think that they gave him like,
and also they demoted name. Wheeler Yuta is a dope ass. Is that his real name or is that a shoot name?
I believe so. I think
that's a dope ass name. I gotta look that up.
I never looked it up. Yeah, look that up. I was just gonna say that I And also, if we're talking about nuanced storytelling, if we're taking like this seriously, I also noticed Wheeler Yuta, he had on the green shirt.
Gruber.
Of course, yeah. Wheeler Yuta is just too good of a name.
He's from Philly. Like you said, he doesn't even look like he's I don't know why I thought he was like international. He's from Philly.
Oh, yeah?
He's Villanova.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I thought like they demoted him or something because he didn't have on the white tee. Like this time, that's Mox and Claudio's thing. He had a green tee on, and I'm like, okay, so you not with it yet? Like, did they demote you? Because last week you had on a white tee, so I don't know what that means. But
he's a noob.
Yeah. Oh, and then Lashley debuted against Swerve. Swerve and Shelton had to square off, which Swerve, AEW champion, Swerve the 8th. This is Swerve's house, dog. Like, I mean, we know Shelton is a wrestling legend, but we didn't think he was going to win, did we? But Lashley had to show up and even those motherfucking odds, and he put him in the hurt lock, and that shit looked like it hurt. So it was great to see him. I would say I would give him I'm not a stylist, but I would give him an outfit change. The leather suit, I it looked fly, but it was one of those things where it's like, I can't do it. Like, I could not do that. But I was just like, all right, I see what y'all doing. But yeah, he looked great. How do you like the segment?
It was good. It was good. I have this as like mid rising, but because mostly we knew Lashley was coming. It wasn't surprising or anything of that nature. I think the segment kind of played out as typical as you would expect. Like, he came there, he beat him up. All right, cool. Like, it's kind of where
promo establishing dominance. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, okay, cool. Let's see how not only where this feud goes, but what is the Hurt Syndicate in AEW that it wasn't in WWE? So it's more of like, okay, now that the ball is here, let's see where it rolls to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more. I'm intrigued. Like I said, everything on this card that I have for my mids is anything that I'm like, okay, I'm curious to see how things play out in the coming weeks and months of it. Speaking to that, I'll go into my other mid. Adam Cole beating Buddy Matthews. First of all, shout out Buddy Matthews. I don't think I've seen you on TV in a good minute, so nice to see you still around. And Adam Cole was like his first match back since coming back from injury and things of that nature. It was a hell of a match, to the point where Adam Cole was walking back and looking like he had re-injured his ankle. Buddy Matthews cuts a promo telling him he's basically a bitch. Adam Cole comes back, wins it, and then basically tells him like, you've unlocked, the old me or something like that, to that nature. So, also the way that segment ended, because Buddy Matthews was shaking hands with Adam Cole. Lights go out, and then they come back on, and then he's shaking hands with Aleister Black, which I thought was dope. That was fire. So, I'm curious to see how that whole thing kind of plays out. From the Buddy Matthews to the Adam Cole telling back, I think I got my groove back, to what does Aleister Black do and all this stuff. So it's going to be an interesting rivalry or feud that's going to happen there.
Malachi. That's right. Malachi Black.
Sorry, I called him Aleister. No,
that's all right.
His real name.
Is it? Is that? Is it? I don't know. Maybe. I doubt that. That's such like he is Dutch. He is actually from the Netherlands. So maybe it's more common over there. I can believe that. For me, my mids, I had Chris Statlander over Camille.
Tom Bujan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was like, Alistair is too on the nose. That's a little too much.
That's a 1960s name. Yeah.
Yeah. I had Chris Statlander over Camille. I love the spot when Camille has her in tombstone position, but then we get that classic spot of like the leaning back, flip the tombstone over on the other tombstones, and then Chris, her finisher is the Big Bang. So he just changes the grip, it's like a packaged tombstone basically, and then defeats her with that. I also had this as Slash Mercedes face turn soon. because
Yeah, I'm curious about that. I'll let you talk about it. Go ahead.
only because this is when Camille lost. Like this is only Camille's. She was undefeated this entire time. She was 6-0, and she loses to Chris Statlander. And then when she comes in, or Mercedes comes in disappointed, obviously, and she just yells, "Camille, get to the back! Get to the back now!" So. And it was not cute the way she did it at all. Like this was like some super heel shit. Where this is where I'm like immediately just because of how I don't know, it wasn't cheesy, I guess. It felt very natural. This is why I think this might be a crazy kind of take because that's exactly the kind of like Mercedes heel that I wanted. I was like, oh shit, she got everybody's attention with that. You know what I'm saying? And she says, if you want something done, you got to do it yourself, which is even funnier because bitch, she wasn't even in this match. So like, what are you talking about? Like you attacked her from behind with a belt, and then she was knocked out immediately. You didn't do anything, but more heel work. But I said face turn just because I guess I'm projecting like 6 months or 8 months, whatever. Whenever Camille and Mercedes, turn on each other, and Mercedes is sorry and comes for a save or something. That's what I was just like.
So you think this that moment leans to a Mercedes face turn?
Not necessarily. It was just that. It was just like the offshoot of my knee jerk, my knee jerk booking like 6 months out, like what I thought. Because I was just playing out Camille. I was like, oh, maybe, she's a face by then. And that's kind of where I landed. Because I know Mercedes has been rough up to this point. Even like she's gotten way more consistent with her matches. But like her debut was pretty stilted, in my opinion. And granted, that's why I say it's ironic that I'm even saying this. Because I'm also saying that this is the best heel Mercedes has been with like, yelling at Camille like that and shit. I would just want her to like channel that more. And I was just like, oh, where is this going in 6 months? And I think that's literally your explanation of like the mids too, where it's like, oh, where does this go? And like, that was just my quick thought. That's all.
Yeah, no,
6 months flash forward.
I don't disagree with you. I was confused because it said Mercedes face turns soon. And I'm like, the exact moment that you talked about, as far as like her snapping at Camille and telling her to get to the back, I agree with you. That was the most like believable heel thing that you've done.
Yeah, exactly.
Since you've been on the show. And so I'm like, oh, okay, that was you said that was rude. You know what I'm saying? Like that was mean. Like, and so I still don't know. But again, it was an intriguing thing. If anything, I probably would have had a shake because I mean I'm like to see her, call out Camille like that, and like, Camille is
the brick house,
like
way bigger than her.
Yeah, it's like, okay, Mercedes, you keep talking your shit and you're gonna get broken in half like a Kit Kat bar. So
exactly. See, you already think what I'm thinking. I'm thinking they already fighting, and then I'm thinking the apology way down the line. So
yeah, I will have it at shake. I don't have it right now, but I'll leave that at shake as we talk it through it. So
yeah, tell me about Private Party.
Yeah, our last mids. We both agree on this on mids. Private Party winning the tag team championships against the Elite. I mean, not the Elite, the Young Bucks. Great match. I'm happy that the titles are off the Bucks. I think it's kind of similar to what's happening in WWE, where it's like, let's actually put, not to say the Bucks aren't a real tag team, but like they're so caught up in a lot of other things that it kind of takes away from the belts, and they're just kind of props to them at this point, where it's like, all right, let's put it on a tag team that's actually going to like go out there on a weekly basis and like, test the actual division. So I like that. What I really liked about this, and where I'm really intrigued about, probably out of all three of these things, I'll probably put the Adam Cole probably at number one, where I'm most anticipating. The Bucks left.
Yeah,
they left. Like they had a little like they was like, yo, we need a moment back here. Get the cameras out, this, that, and the third, and they just bounced. And so, what is gonna happen? How long are they gone? Is it just a week, or is it until January or February, wherever it may be. So, does this tie back to Shane? I don't know. Like, it leaves a lot of intrigue to see these two guys leave. So,
Mhm.
hopefully it's not for the short term and it's more of a long term thing. And not to say like they don't need to be on TV. It's more so like the longer the way they do go, the more intrigue and impact of like what's going to happen when they do come back. So
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by that. And then I'm excited
I,
for the tag team division moving forward with the private party.
yeah. I agree with all of that. I would say the most negative thing about all of it is that I feel like we just missed such a great opportunity with, the Bucks as the EVPs and tag team champions and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Their heel personas of like, we've been begging for them to just like raise hell and like run the show. They never did it. So that's just why that's the most disappointing
somebody
thing.
else came in and was like, this is our show now. This is our company.
Well, yeah.
And then
Yeah,
they even never talked about it to them. It's like, okay.
Hey, it's better to show than tell, right? He was like, Moxley's like, I'll show you with actions. I'll show you whose show
Yeah.
it is. So but yeah. That's it. That's it
for the shot.
Yep.
Oh, one I guess little tidbit of news. Dustin Rhodes is a free agent.
Oh yeah. The Natural. That'd be cool to see him in a American Nightmare t-shirt.
So, like, I think he's going to make his way back to WWE. Like, just the familial aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
With the bloodline and Cody and stuff. He's coming back as Dustin, though.
Yeah, obviously. I would say he's legitimately a Hall of Famer.
I get it. It wouldn't make sense, but one of my all-time favorite characters is Goldust.
Yeah,
and it sucks. Like, you could probably come out with the face paint and still be Dustin, and you don't have to be Goldust. As long as there's an element of Goldust and like the essence of what Goldust was. It doesn't need to be like, Attitude Era Goldust, but Goldust was a very psychological character. You know what I'm saying? Like, he could really mess with your mentals. And I think, like, you take the Dustin with, a little bit of that, just revamp the Goldust to fit 2024. It doesn't have to be so sexually explicit as it was back in the day, but I do think there's an aspect of Goldust that could work if you mixed it in with Dustin a lot more. Like, whatever he did as Dustin at AEW, sprinkle a little bit of, maybe half paint Goldust, half paint Dustin.
I was gonna say, literally, that's what he was doing in AEW.
Yeah.
He's not painting his whole face anymore. And I was gonna say, well, first off, my thought, he's coming back as Dustin altogether. Like, I wouldn't even imagine Goldust being in the picture.
Yeah, I think he's coming back as fully as Dustin, but I want some Goldust.
However, that doesn't mean that the Royal Rumble doesn't exist, or that doesn't mean that like there's not an opportunity for us to see, half of his face painted again. You know what I'm saying? Because he's painting half of his face now, or in AEW, or he was. That's at the full extent of it.
I wonder if that was for legal reasons. Could he even? Did they even say Goldust on AEW? Does he own that character? I don't think he owns that character.
I don't think so.
Maybe it's a loophole. It's like, oh, I painted half my face, so I'm not Goldust.
And he's painting with red. He was red and black over there. He was either red or blue. So it was just different face paint, but he was just painting half of his face. And I remember him as Goldust still in WWE, like near the end before he left. He did half face paint before.
Mm-hmm.
I remember. So it's like, that's not even something hasn't been seen on WWE before. So I can fully believe that we will see half face Goldust at some point. And it could be full face, but if it's full face, and it's
doesn't need to have the jumpsuit. He doesn't even need to have the jumpsuit. It's just the face paint and the psychological and the psychologicalness of Goldust is what I want from Dustin. So I think we'll see him in WWE probably by Rumble. Let's move on to the Book of Wrestling, and we got a pretty quick one to get through with only 3 things here. I'm finding the music. We Book of Wrestling. Yeah, we got their week outside of just like, hey, Halloween Havoc this year took place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because it's always the same pay-per-views. We realize that it's like, okay, we're just hearing the same shit. So,
but we do have some important ones this week. We'll start off with the oldest one on the book, which is on October 28th, 2018. The first and only all-women's PLE happens, called WWE's Evolution. WWE held their first female and only pay-per-view Evolution from the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum in New York, Long Island. The event marked the first pay-per-view dedicated solely to female talent in WWE history. The main event of the show saw Ronda Rousey defend her Raw Women's Championship against Nikki Bella. The show also Becky Lynch retain her SmackDown Championship against Charlotte Flair in the last woman standing match. Shayna Baszler regained her NXT Women's Championship from Kairi Sane in the night's only title change. Hall of Famer Trish Stratus and Lita made a victorious return to WWE against Mickie James and Alicia Fox. So it's an interesting show. They talked about it on Wednesday Worldwide this week. I think, we always ask, why don't we get another Women's Evolution pay-per-view? And it's like, well, the reason why we got this is because the women couldn't be on Crown Jewel.
yeah.
So, as we'll get into the next topic on the Book of Wrestling,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's still an excuse to not have a women's pay-per-view, but I get the sentiment where it's like they made the point on WWE. It's like, isn't the goal to say that the women's wrestling is just as equally as weighted as the men's wrestling? So it's like they shouldn't have to be like, oh yeah, we got an exclusive one. It's like, no, we could just put the women as the main event on a co-ed
exactly.
show. So it's a weird thing because it's like, yeah, we could do that, but it's like, okay, but there's still nothing stopping you from doing an all-women show.
Yeah.
Like, two things can still happen.
Exactly. Like, you could do that. I think that they still should. I loved the idea of that. And we also understand that, let's be real, the women are still underserved, as guess what? Women are the minority in society. The only minority that's actually a majority, which is weird as hell, because there's more women than men. But women are underserved just in society in general. And that does not make WWE or where you work any different. You know what I mean? So that's where I feel like that would be my argument for the reason that it should exist, because it's like, how many times are we like, even still now, hey, that match could have gone another 5 minutes, you know what I'm saying? Instead of just it being 3 minutes, or like, us begging for Naomi to like actually get her title win in a significant way.
Do so many different things. Like there could be like a Mae Young's woman, classic final, for like the up and coming, wrestlers. And like, there's so much you can do right now. Like, again, just because now, okay, women are on the Crown Jewel card means that we don't have to do a women's pay-per-view. It's like, y'all, $9 billion company. Stop being cheap.
Really?
You want to take the next one?
Yeah, for sure. Let me click down. I'm still looking at this one. There we go. So yeah, the first Crown Jewel happened because the women couldn't be on this show, as you just said. Crown Jewel took place in Rio. Oh, this is November 2nd. So today, 6 years ago, 2018.
This was 3 days later from It's 3 days later from the Evolution.
Like you said, stop being cheap. You can do this. You did this the first time you even had Crown Jewel because you got so much fucking bread from that deal. Like, oh my God. Anyway.
You guys flew NXT people to SmackDown because that's another bit of history because of delayed flights and couldn't getting out. That it's like, oh, we need to fly people from NXT to wherever we're at in SmackDown this week because the people are stuck in
nobody.
Yeah, people are stuck in Riyadh.
That's wild. They got it. Don't let them convince us that they ain't convincing us. We know they got it. But WWE Crown Jewel took place in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. On the show, Brock Lesnar won the Universal title, vacated by Roman Reigns due to leukemia. He defeated Braun Strowman for the vacant title. Shane McMahon also became a surprise replacement in the World Cup to become the best wrestler in the world.
Who did he beat for that? Was that Kevin Owens that he beat?
Yeah, something like that. I feel like it was. That
Yeah, I
was.
think it
I
was
remember
Kevin
that
Owens.
trophy being so ugly. Like, because
Yeah.
Riyadh, like they just been wanting something like
Oh,
this belt. Clearly,
it got worse. Did you hear what? We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it when we get to the show.
okay. Uh, in the main event, Shawn Michaels came out of retirement in his first match since 2010 as he teamed up with Triple H, DX versus Brothers of Destruction.
Oh
What
yeah,
should
that
have been a
was
moment for the
fucking
ages was
terrible.
instead considered one of the worst matches of all time. The match was
So
beset with
bad.
problems, including Triple H tearing his tricep muscle early in the bout and Kane accidentally losing his mask slash wig. And that's the first show of Crown Jewel. And you understand why we consider this non-canon is because of the way that it starts. And you're just like, what the fuck is this going on?
Such a bad
You
show.
had Shane, the best in the world, and then four legends that had no business being in there, but they were everybody got a number, and WWE said, Saudi Arabia hit that number, get y'all asses out there. And you play the greatest hits. I don't give a damn if you're trying to tear off the bone. Oh shit. But yeah, good thing we got it today, right? We'll be
Yeah.
watching. And how about your last one?
Sorry, I'm trying to open up Peacock
Oh, you good.
to watch this goddamn pay-per-view, and it's like I try to click on my profile and it just moves me over to the next profile. I'm like, what is happening?
Well, but we got in
Wow.
2019.
Sorry.
Though,
Yeah, I'll
you
take
right.
it. I'll take it. I'll take it. I'm fucking around trying to figure this shit out.
You good.
So yeah, October 31st, 2019. So the next year, the first women's match at WWE's Crown Jewel. So another Crown Jewel bit of history took place. Blah 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 blah. The main thing is the main talking point of the pay-per-view was the match between Natalya and Lacey Evans was the first ever women's match in Saudi Arabia, and the match was won by Natalya by submission. And this was also interesting is the fact that unlike the men, they had to dress way differently than their counterparts because of cultural and societal rules. And so they went out there in long sleeve black shirts and a Raw t-shirt and a SmackDown t-shirt.
Yeah, like it was Survivor Series. Like I remember that shit.
Oh my god.
I was like, yo, what? We'll see before we get ahead of ourselves, but I mean, we got it today, so they have advanced in their attire since then, but hopefully we haven't taken a step back. We'll find out.
No,
once the show's on.
I mean, it's crazy that I mean, I like the fact that we did get to that point where that they are in their more they're in gear that is more traditional to what we see on a regular basis, even if it is long sleeved. But yeah, we'll just leave it there.
Yeah,
badger a point of how much this pay-per-view sucks.
Yeah.
Ready to move on to Friday?
For sure.
A couple bits of news. First one, surprising and shocking. Indy Hartwell, Tegan Knox, and Baron Corbin depart from WWE. This came in about an hour before SmackDown went live. Well, not live, but on because it was pre-taped. Surprising in, I guess, all three of the sense, but I guess the biggest surprise for me was the Indy Hartwell aspect of it, because with Baron Corbin, we talked about Baron Corbin and just not Baron Corbin specifically, but just like what happens when you're in your 40s and you've been in WWE for 12 years. I think Baron Corbin will be fine. He'll probably make his way over to AEW or TNA, and I think he'll be able to, reach those heights. Tegan Knox, injuries.
Yeah. Easily. The girl with the shiniest wizard, 2 ACL surgeries. Like she's torn that same ACL twice. Like she's lucky she's walking.
So it is an interesting aspect to see. I wonder, I don't think she's hurt right now, but I mean, that is something that has been in her history. And then again, they're churning in so many different people on a weekly basis that that it's hard to really even keep up with it, especially if you get injuries. It's like, man, like you kind of have to like you just have to watch everybody kind of pass you by in a sense that it makes it a little bit harder. The biggest one, in my opinion, is Indy Hartwell.
That's my girl.
TV, she's been, you know, tagging with Candice LeRae and whatnot. Like that one is the most surprising to me, and even just from like we talk about just like her physical stature is like she's in a like not a small person. She's not as muscular as someone like Bianca, but height wise and as far as
they're in the same division. They're in the same weight class.
They're fairly
sure.
class.
Yeah.
So it's just like wow, like I thought she would have definitely had the potential. So that one is the most surprising to me. I'll let you give your thoughts on all three.
I mean, you kind of hit it on the head with all those, but yeah, Indy is I wouldn't say the most surprising. I would say it makes sense, but it hurts me the most because as a fan, I'm the biggest fan of Indy out of these three. And granted, like Corbin, he's taken nothing and done something with it. The whole like broke sad Corbin and then into happy Corbin when he hits the lottery. Like that shit was entertaining. You know what I mean? So,
Baron Corbin is a Hall of Famer in my book. That was going to be my original champion before I found out the others were released as well. I was like, oh, okay, let me make this a bigger topic on the show rather than just giving it a champion. But like, in my opinion, Baron Corbin is a Hall of Famer. Not a first ballot, but he's a Hall of Famer. And
he can sit
Hall
there
of Fame
for
in WWE. Hall of Fame in WWE is not like regular sports.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you are over at any point, you're a Hall of Famer. Godfather, Hall of Famer.
Yeah, basically, if you're over, there you go. And yeah, that would be his
Corbin
biggest
in my opinion.
Moment.
And then I think, especially if you take in regard of like the non-kayfabe work, like the actual like person behind the stage and working with talent and getting them up and stuff like that. Corbin he's an all-timer. So sorry, like I hope Corbin finds his way in the wrestling industry still and ends up getting those titles. But hey, if you want to come back and be a producer or something on the WWE, like it's cool, man. It's all family. And again, I think Indy, she can make her way back.
Half of the greatest love story ever told in WWE. I don't want to hear anything else.
I think she can make her way back. Because what is she like? She's under 30, right?
For sure. I think so.
It ain't over for her. It's just wild. Like, what is she? She's 28. So that is going to be a more interesting one to see what happens with her in the future. Whether it be here at WWE or TNA or AEW or wherever it may be. But that kind of leads us into especially when we get into the Baron Corbin of it. I saw this article pop up with the headline of from Montez Ford saying, WWE is my dream job and I enjoy it, but it's frustrating. And I grabbed the quote and put it in the doc here. I'll just kind of jump into the main points, but it says it's the best, man, for me to sit here and go like, how's it going? That's good to be here. That's a lie. There's always a pleasure in doing what you love, what you admire, and what you're dreamt of, and what you have in goals and for your passion. But it does get to the sense of frustration when you're trying to accomplish in life, where you may feel like it's either taking too long or it's been too long or nothing's happening. You got new faces showing up on the scene, and our audience naturally tends to forget what we've done and how we done it. And in the now, it is at the point where it's been almost 4 years since we've been the tag team champions. It goes on to say, I'm not gonna lie and say I don't sit here and watch all the comments and everything. I watch everything. We're not in the conversation when it comes to top tag teams. We're not in the conversation when it comes to anything wrestling related, besides the fact of getting handled by the bloodline. That doesn't sit well with me. So as well as it's going in terms of being my dream job, it is enjoying as it is frustrating. And we've talked about Montez specifically, but I mean, again, we talked about Baron Corbin. We talked about pretty much anybody in our age bracket and above about like, what is it to be in the WWE, especially when you are a tenured WWE talent. Mm-hmm. And especially for this guy where your wife is top dog.
Yeah, one of the top 3 stars. Like when you think of like the women's division, for sure.
Not even the women's division, the company.
Sure.
Bianca is not top 3 in the company.
I'm not making an argument. You made your point. Go ahead.
I was just okay. I was just that looked like a joke. I mean, but like, this is obviously we all want Montez to kind of get to that point, and not even just Montez, even Dawkins. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think part of the conflict is like we see the potential in Montez. I think there's definitely potential in Dawkins being a solo, but again, like it's kind of like with any kind of music group, it's like one person is going to be here, and then the other people are just going to be, you know, a little bit on the lower tier. Unfortunately, that's how it works out. But at some point, again, you got Carmelo Hayes coming up. You're going to eventually have Javon Evans come up. You're going to have Obafemi come up. This man hasn't even held the Intercontinental title or U.S. Championship.
Yep.
So at what point does he just get classed out because the younger talent here, and you're just out here to, hey, get the crowd hyped up?
That's the most professional aired grievances I can see. Like that's the nicest way to be like, hey, I'm aware of the shit that the position I'm in. Like this is just nothing but 100% self-awareness. And if I'm corporate, I could see this as like, I guess if I was a sensitive corporate person, I could see this as like, hey, what are you saying? You gonna leave us? What? I think that's what like maybe like some extreme people could take from this. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, he'll go to AEW or he'll go to TNA or something like that. But yeah. I mean, I agree with it. I mean, we've been watching him for years. It's been at least 2 years for sure since that whole, gif of him, shaking the ring ropes, you know what I'm saying, was made. Yeah. That's definitely over 2 years ago. So it's like, without
even he's talking about like, getting handled by the bloodline. It's like, okay, you haven't won a tag team titles in 4 years. It's like, do we want to see them win the tag team titles again? It's like, you've been there, you've done that. Like, what is that really proving? Now, I think there is an interesting storyline with the tag team division with the Motor City Machine Guns that I think could play out. And the idea that I had was that, how I've said, it's like WWE ain't letting people come in from a new company and come in and, win in their first, little while here. They gave MCMG the tag team titles within 2 weeks. All right, proven wrong in that situation. Though I can say that there was a caveat where the storyline made it work out for them. Not saying that they don't deserve it, just saying like storyline reasons. If that wasn't an interference, who says the bloodline doesn't retain that?
Exactly.
But if I'm looking at Montez Ford's quotes around here, especially around the tag team championships, why not go heel? That's what we want. We need them to be talking their shit, right? And so I'm like, yo, we got next on those tag team titles. And we're not taking this like, it's not like, oh, the match is going to happen at Survivor Series or something like that. It's like, nah, we're the tenured team here. Not you. I don't give a fuck if you got some belts. We're the tenured team here. So I'm going to need y'all to run through this gauntlet. I'm going to need Montez Ford and Dawkins to be talking the ear off every week of GM Nick
Adam
Aldis.
Pierce. Oh, Nick Aldis, that's right. SmackDown.
I need them talking the ear off of Nick Aldis, putting them Motor City Machine Guns into unfortunate predicaments each week to be like, oh, you got to prove yourselves as champions to face us, the Street Profits. Because we're the tenureds. We're the 4-time tag team champions. You guys got here and got the benefit of the doubt of winning the tag team champions because you just found yourself in some family issues that benefited in your way. And so, like, who's really on top? You just
happen to be born into the most famous family. That's why you got the titles. As simple as that. The most famous wrestling family. That's why y'all got the titles.
And so, like, I can see them finally, like, okay, kind of like the Kalani, kind of being on the other side of the Kalani Jordan aspect of it, right? If this was if MCMG is Kalani Jordan, the Street Profits are basically the entire gauntlet, or they're the end of the gauntlet that they're going to eventually get those titles back.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So it's just a long heel work of just saying, like, you guys got to do the work to prove that you deserve those titles and not just luck into it because families were fighting and you just so happen to be in the crossfire to benefit from it.
Exactly.
So I'll leave that to say that, hey, boutique. Get the SmackDown. And SmackDown pre-taped. It was in Brooklyn for a consecutive week. Actually, the last week's SmackDown I think started earlier because Kaz went to it, and he was like, "I got there late because of work and other things. That I got there around like 7:30, and Randy Orton was already like halfway through his promo. So like I think they double filmed it. Now I don't know if they switched out the crowd or if it was like a 2-for-1 show.
Oh yeah, they probably won. I would imagine that it's a 2-for-1.
Yeah, I don't know how you switch out that crowd so quickly, especially in the Barclays Center.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like that's why it's smart that they're in Brooklyn because it's like, yo, that's the densest city in America. You can run 2 shows back to back anywhere in the country.
Yeah,
it would be in New York. You know what I'm saying? At like their newest venue. So it's like that makes all the sense in the world to me that they even landed that way.
Yeah, but let's talk about. Do we want to talk about the thing that we agree on first, or the thing that we disagree on first?
Let's talk about what we agree on.
Yo, girl, Tiffany Stratton. I'll let you take it.
Yes. I had this written down as Tiffy put on her big girl panties today. I fuck with that. Because it was just another, like, this was for me, this was a nothing segment. Because it's about Crown Jewel and this Crown Jewel championship and the ring that they're going to get. I don't give a fuck about none of that. Tiffy comes out. And granted, like Liv, she shows up with Judgment Day, or not all of Judgment Day, but Dom and Raquel are with her, and Nia's by herself. So it looks as if she's outnumbered, clearly. So it's like, oh, okay, Tiffany's coming down to back up, the Queen Nia, right? And I also paid a whole lot of attention. She says, oh, I can cash in and become WWE Women's World Champion. And I was like, okay. She didn't say women's WWE champion. She said women's world champion. Those are 2 different belts. And she was like, yeah, that's right, bitch. That's right. Nia's going off like, my princess is going to take care of you. And then all of a sudden, my girl Tiffy says, bitch, that means you too. I said, oh, okay.
Yeah, she was like, I'm tired of both of y'all. I was like, oh, okay. I almost put that on the level of Mercedes doing that shit to Camille.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, look at that.
Because this is the first time. Yeah, because obviously it's been great. I'm sure they've had a great time working together, but like they've given us the breadcrumbs very easily and not so heavy. Yeah, not so heavy-handed. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, but we get the segment of like, Nia bumping into Tiff or like, talking down to her and stuff. And finally it pays off. And she's like, bitch, this shit works for either one of these belts. I was like, okay. So I guess she's ready to stand in the ring with Nia now. She said, I'm done with the fake shit. So that's the reason that it's primo for me.
How soon do you think that happens? Because I mean, it's primo for me because I like that Tiffany was finally like talking her shit to whatever degree. It's just like, okay, but like typically I would just leave this at mid because I'm like, okay, let's see where it goes. But I'm like, okay, but this is the first time I've really heard you like talk your shit. So that's why I have it in primo. But I think they're going to drag this out a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, to make yourself right, you got to wait at least a month, right? You already said Saturday night's main event. So.
I mean, I think that'd even be a little too quick.
Yeah, not for nothing. Just the fact that because winning the Money in the Bank is one thing, but using it is another. So with that, I could go as far as saying like she just put herself in the main event right then. Because up until her winning Money in the Bank is just for people like me who are justified and be like, oh, we see something in her. And she's like the next woman who should definitely be in that title picture or hold the title. But actually, like in kayfabe wise now, she ain't afraid of Nia anymore. So if she's not afraid of Nia and she has Money in the Bank, bitch, that equates to a main event. You know what I'm saying? A main event spot. Like at any point in time that can happen. So this was her, like, literally, I see it, hopefully as long as this character continues this way and she don't continue to, like, I don't know, duck Nia afterwards, I guess.
Yeah.
Then this will hold up strong, because I imagine that's Tiffany standing on her own 2 feet. That's why I had it in primo.
I don't think Tiffany can stand a chance with Nia. As far
She
as
can,
in kayfabe,
straight
I'm
up.
like, no.
Oh yeah,
Like, yeah, Nia is destroying Tiffany.
yeah. I mean, Tiffany would still be like, I mean, Nia is a super heavyweight when it comes to the women's division, right? I would still argue that Tiffany's a heavyweight. I don't know if she can lift Nia, but I just say that to say that she has more of a chance than you think. It's not like she's Liv, because Liv is obviously a heel and obviously going to cheat to win. There's no way she's winning straight up. You know what I'm saying? Because she'll
It's
get
just funny.
destroyed.
I guess it's just like
So,
I guess it's Tiffany's personality that's getting me
yeah.
to think that, because I'm like, the moment Liv is smaller than Tiffany, but I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
but like Liv will take the guy, the Annihilator, and it's like, okay, yeah, Liv's dead. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but like Liv is like, she's also, as a character, we've seen her, she's like, she's a bit of a risk taker. She could be a little crazy, you know what I'm saying? Like she can, she could be a little extreme, to, WWE's level. Tiffany, again, our comp for her is Alicia Silverstone and Clueless. So I just see her taking that Annihilator, and I'm just like, she's dead. She's dead.
Yeah.
She would just be so devastated by it that like Liv will like laugh about it. Like she'll be hurting, but she'll be laughing. Tiffany, I think, is just like, I think she might need to find a new career after that.
And it took us a while to see Lyra. It took us a while to see Lyra again after that. After she took it when she won King of the Ring, remember? Or Queen of the Ring. You can start. Yeah, you start with the bloodline stuff. You favor it more than I did.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was spoiled to know that this was happening earlier in the week. But again, to Kaz's point, it's like, even knowing it that it happened, watching it, it was still satisfying. And I watched this, the first time I watched it, I had my earphones in because I was listening to music. So I'm just seeing moving pictures with like no sound. And it kind of took me back to, it's obviously not the exact same level, but the sentiment, it's kind of the same, where people talk about like, The Rock versus Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 18, and how like the actual match was not good.
Yeah.
Like as far as like the wrestling of it was not good, but you were able to like just turn the sound off and just watch everything of like the people and how they all just kind of get into it. Amazing thing to see. And obviously those are completely on a different that's a completely different stratosphere than what we got last night. But I do think there's an element of seeing Jay come through the crowd, Roman, and then just seeing everybody get invested into it, and then getting to the point where Roman says yeet, which again, you stole your whole swag from a 12-year-old. It worked. It worked. And then everybody's cheering, hug it out, hug it out, hug it out. I'm like, all right, that's pretty dope. But I also like the fact that this is not officially the bloodline, like they're coming back for now. But I love that Jay was like, yo, you disrespect me in any capacity, I'm whooping that ass. So it's a good start. It's a good start. And I think the crowd was really the ones that really put this over for Primo for me.
I think you were caught up in the moment just because he said that I'm out. He didn't say he was going to square up with Roman. He said, I'd be out this bitch.
Fine.
And also what took me out of it was obviously the crown jewel of it. But
yeah,
I didn't like Roman still. Because the issue with this is Jimmy is still acknowledging him as the tribal chief, right?
Yeah.
But Jimmy is also the one that's pointing out that you ain't the tribal chief because you don't have the Ula follow, right? Because that makes you tribal chief. So, all right, got it. Jay clearly, at this point, he's telling you, even his theme music, talking about, it's just me. I don't need nobody, right? Like, he don't acknowledge you as the tribal chief. Like, he said that we're equals. And Roman is still like, I just didn't like the arrogance from him. And I'm saying in kayfabe, I
No,
don't
I
like.
get it. That's why I'm
It's like
smiling because I'm like,
you
that
say
means
he
the
should
promo
be.
is working.
He should be like, but it's just like the way like when he just sticks out his hand, like, oh, give me the mic again. I'm like, bro, you ain't got the titles no more. You ain't got the wise man and shit. Like that's what was going through my head. But he's
Yeah.
still treating Jimmy that way, or Jimmy's letting him get that shit off because Jimmy is the one who acknowledges him. And I was just like, no, I guess I was just caught up in that part of it where it came in conflict with like the independence that Jay has versus I don't know, Jimmy still being so attached because I'm like, Jace just said, oh, we all gonna be equals and shit. And it's like clearly Roman don't think him and Jimmy is equals. That's not the way that went. Or at least that's what I took from it. So but this is mid-stable, and this is also mostly for the crown jewel of it all, also, because we knew that this was going to happen. So it's the same thing that it's like, all right, yeah, we were coming here because even on Raw, it was funny how you have Jimmy show up, and it's like, at the beginning, Jay is acting like the hug on SmackDown last week didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? So you just got to maintain that for the story of it all. I get it, but that's why it's mid-stable for me.
We are 40 minutes into Crown Jewel right now. The first match, I believe, was the Bloodline versus Bloodline battle.
Mm-hmm.
It just ended. Do you want to guess who the winner was?
New Bloodline, I'd hope.
Yep.
Okay, good.
And now they are proceeding to beat the rest of the Usos and Roman Reigns right now.
Yeah, beat the shit out of them. They should.
Yeah. So it's just they're whooping up on Jay right now. They whooped up on Roman. I don't know where Jimmy's at right now, but right now the new bloodline is dominating as we speak.
Glad to hear it.
The match is over, and they're just taking the trash out at this point.
That's what I like to hear. Beat the shit out of him.
They about to put the chair over Jay's neck right now, and somebody's coming. Some music went off.
If somebody's coming, then a damn sure ain't Paul Heyman.
You want to guess who's coming out?
If it's rumors, Hikuleo, but they don't know. They don't know. No, it wouldn't be Hikuleo. People don't know who Hikuleo is. Who is it?
The resilient one.
Oh, Sammy. Okay, sure.
Yeah, Diamond level.
That's the obvious answer.
Yeah.
Now the bloodline's complete. Now you can have Survivor Series. There you go. You needed the last piece. So
before we get into the end of our show, my other mid for this week on SmackDown was Io Sky beating Bianca Belair and Lash Legend in a triple threat match. Io stole the win. Bianca hits the KOD.
Yeah.
Impressive KOD because it looked like Lash is probably one of the bigger people that Bianca's hit the KOD on, probably in recent memory. Like she's obviously hit it on like people like. I'm pretty sure she's hit the KOD on.
She's hit it on Piper. She's hit it on Piper before.
She's hit it on Piper. Has she ever hit it on Nia? Probably.
At some point, they've been working too long.
They've worked too long to not at this point.
Yeah.
Impressive feat by Bianca, and I thought the match was great. I think Lash and Jakara might pull it out tonight.
That's my pick.
I think because again, Bianca, Jade, do they need the titles?
No,
they look great with it. But I think right now, we talked about it with the men's titles, both on Raw and SmackDown. We talked about it with AEW, with Private Party winning. I think there is a shift to actually trying to get the titles off of these established people that really don't have any use for them and put them back onto actual tag teams that are going to actually, energize the actual division here. So, having them win Jakara and Lash will be interesting. Obviously, the biggest part of it, once they do have those titles, if they do win, is the promo cutting. And to be able to come out there and just be credible people on the mic to be able to we are the champs. Because you can't no disrespect to Caden and Casey, but like you never let them cut a promo.
Yeah, true.
They were just happy to be out there. And so that will be key if Jakara and Lash win tonight. It would be how their promos and their feuds and rivalries come out with the rest of the tag team division moving forward. So shout outs to them if they win this match. Thoughts?
Yeah. I would love to see it. I mean, really, like, I mean, as far as like them on the mic, obviously NXT work. Most of their stuff is vignettes. I like their vignettes. Lash does more talking than Jakara does. But he can do it. I mean, obviously they're staying on NXT, and that's like still not the safest place for them. I don't know how to say that. That's home. There you go. They still just feel appropriate to be at NXT, not to say that they can't, bounce around. They already have, because they brought them up to Raw and SmackDown just so we see them and we're aware that they're a tag team. You know what I mean? So,
and it actually works for them to float around 3 different shows than it does Bianca and Jade.
Yeah.
Because again, like we talked about, it's like, okay, if the women's tag team title is on NXT, there now is reason for Raw and SmackDown superstars to go to NXT.
To come down, exactly.
Instead of you just showing up there because it's like, oh, I'm main roster. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to just pop up on NXT. It's like, no, now you're coming here with a purpose, because it's like, we want tag team title shots. And then for them to pop up on SmackDown, they don't even need to wrestle.
Yeah. Just so, just know we in the title picture.
Yeah, on SmackDown or Raw, you don't need to wrestle. You just got to show up, look good with the titles.
Exactly.
You're doing scouting.
And doing exactly what Bianca and Jade have been doing for like this second run that they've been on. Yeah. They ain't been doing nothing but being faces, sitting, courtside or ringside, and sometimes on commentary, talking about we watching this division and nobody can touch us. That's all you got to do.
So let's see how it plays out. Let's get into briefly talking about this card. So we already talked about the Bloodline. The new Bloodline beat the OG Bloodline.
All right.
We got Sammy coming out to form that. So, we're gearing up for War Games in a couple weeks. We talked about Jade and Bianca and Damage Control versus, don't forget, Chelsea Green and Piper are also in this match. So it's a 4-way.
Wait, say it again. Read that again.
It's Powerbuff Girls.
Yeah.
Damage Control. Metaphor versus and Chelsea Green and Piper.
Gotcha. Okay.
Fatal 4-way for this match. That's actually coming on right now. That's about to start. Cool. We didn't even mention Chelsea and Piper.
Yeah, that's true.
What percentage odds? Like, if you have to power rank winning, I guess we both put Jakara and Lash first.
I'd have them one. I'd have
Powerbuff.
Yeah, I'll put that. Yeah, I'll put power. Yeah, Bianca and Jade, and then I was really figuring out where I want to put Damage Control. I would put Damage Control last. Because I think the just immediately hearing that's why I told you to repeat it. I'm like, but Chelsea Green star power. Wait till she holds a championship, like any championship at all. Like,
she did have the tag team titles. She did have her and Piper were tag team champions.
Yeah.
So for whatever it was, Seth Rollins, Bronson Reed. You said Bronson wins this, or Seth?
Seth. No, Seth is that because they mentioned his back. That's why I said he's definitely winning.
I'm gonna be. I'm glad we're not picking officially on this. I'm gonna say no. DQ.
Yeah, don't put no thought into it.
I'm gonna say no contest because I think this goes. I think this goes no contest, and Seth takes out Bronson Reed, and we're gonna get a Long Island street fight at Saturday night's main event. So I'm sticking to that.
I like the thought of like just desperation from him. How about just a regular DQ? Seth gets DQ'd and Bronson wins. And it's just that concern of like, oh, he's actually that fucking dangerous where I didn't have a choice. The best wrestler in the world, as you say, in kayfabe and out, is like, oh, he's that dangerous in kayfabe
I
where I
need
need
Seth
to use a
Rollins
weapon.
to, or
That'd be wild.
I need Seth Rollins to. It can't be just a regular DQ because I'm like, you need to put Bronson Reed out. He took you
Well,
out for
yeah,
like
sure.
3-4 weeks, and I'm like, okay, again, just for kayfabe, I'm gonna need you to do what Rikishi did to Stone Cold.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need you to
Yeah,
run
just
that man,
yeah.
run that man over with a car.
Yeah.
This
I
is
fuck with
where
that.
the same way we got to like the swerve and the hangman, like how it kept leveling it up to the point where it's like, okay, like yeah, some of this went overboard, but like I know how we got here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think there's been enough to the point where I'm like, yeah, Bronson Reed could get run over by a car. And I wouldn't
Yeah,
be
for
surprised.
sure.
I
At
wouldn't
this
be
point,
surprised. Yeah.
no, he should be. That's like Braun Strowman couldn't even deal with them, remember? So it's like
Yeah.
for the best wrestler in the world to like, I'll even take that, but it's a DQ because he has to use a chair. He just can't deal with it. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
he like lays him out like repeatedly because he obviously has the upper hand with a weapon or something. Yeah, wipe him out until Saturday night main event or some shit, and then he'll come and fuck Seth up again, and we'll be on the road to WrestleMania by that point.
Liv Morgan versus Nia Jax. Queen Nia all day. Though again,
Yeah, the only reason
the Tiffany talking smack like that, and I'm just like Dominic.
I put Tiffany cashing in at like 20%.
I don't even think it's cashing in. I just think it's just being less of a like Nia is maybe gonna be like, do I fully trust Tiffy? Or Tiffy might try to help out, but then it just ends up working out for Liv. And then again, you still have Dominic there the entire time. That it's just like
that's my point. That's why like Liv is already showing you Dom and Raquel are gonna be in her corner.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and that's why I thought Tiffany, if I'm taking her character seriously, or if that's true, what happened on Friday, my interpretation, if she's standing up for herself, then that means Nia's by herself. You know what I'm saying? She just told her it's on
that
site.
would make Nia even better for her to win against all these odds.
Yeah.
And then at that point, if I'm Tiffy, do I even think about challenging Nia? If I'm just like, okay, yeah, even when I turned on her, it still didn't work out and she still won. So let me go just take on Liv and get that done. You know what I'm saying? That's a little bit much easier.
Yeah, right.
So you got who? I got Nia.
Winning the match.
And I forgot to mention because we talk about these crown
Liv
belts.
I don't know. Yeah, that would be so huge on her. That'd be so big on Liv. Like how small she is. Like even
they're also giving out rings the size of a Super Bowl, which I'm just like, you guys are trying so hard to make
Saudi Arabia
to make niggas care about this shit, and it doesn't. Nobody cares.
Yeah,
nobody
not
cares.
At all.
Who we got?
Yeah, I would go with like just numbers game. Numbers game.
There's no weight to this pick. Just say a name.
Nia.
Okay.
There you go.
Randy Kevin. I don't give a fuck about this match. Yeah. I hope it's Kevin.
KO?
But it's probably going to be Randy.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be Randy.
Yeah, he should win. I want Kevin to win. I don't care about the Nia and Liv match at all, like in any capacity. Because like you said, in kayfabe, we know that shouldn't be a contest at all. So it's like this whole situation is unrealistic.
This whole card. I like the Seth Rollins Bronson Reed match, but I'm like, again, are we really gonna finish it at Crown Jewel?
No. I think the best one is Cody Gunther, just because I'm sure that'll be a great wrestling match, just in general, and like the results don't actually matter at all, which is why I would say Gunther wins, just because it's winning WWE champion, and like Kevo or KO is on that show. He don't fuck with Cody. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, my
LA Knight. I said KO. Actually, I'll go Randy. Even again, there's no weight to any of this. I'll go Randy.
Mhm.
LA Knight, Andrade, Carmelo Hayes, triple threat, U.S.
I
title.
would hope Carmelo wins this. I think it's early for LA Knight to lose it. Because I think this is a combination of me being like completely cooked on like the whole 7-game series around the
Yeah.
US championship, where I just want to hurry up and see it on Carmelo. But there's an argument to be had that obviously LA Knight has more time with it. So
I saw
actually
Sean
LA
Ross
Knight, yeah, I would say LA Knight just because of that. Yeah. I would
Sean
rather
Ross
Carmelo get it at a real pay-per-view. Go ahead. Sean Ross
I
app.
saw Sean Ross yesterday, like putting out like betting odds for some of these matches on.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, degenerates.
Yeah.
Apparently Andrade is the favorite. But that was like an odd shift. Vegas was shifting their odds. I'm like you. The last Carmelo and Andrade match with LA Knight special guest refereeing ending in a no contest was bullshit. Especially if that's game 7. I think Carmelo Hayes versus LA Knight is a more entertaining feud at this point. That I'm like, give the belt to Andrade.
Yeah.
So I'll go Andrade. Oh, I like
Cool.
Jay's hair. It's really nice. Last match, Gunther, Cody.
Gunther.
Cody.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Both make sense. Both make sense.
They that's the guy. That's the guy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, that takes no thought at all. That's like, I mean, we're in the middle of
some shenanigans happen.
Super Cena.
Shenanigans need to happen. Like KO would need to like come out and like
do
for
sure
for Cody to lose.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna go Cody.
Sure.
That's the card. Like I said, we're not judging. This is a bye week. We're just talking to talk. So I'm glad that was the most stress-free. I'm not even going to dignify it calling it a pop-up show or a PLE. I'm not even calling it a special event.
It's a money grab.
This is a paid event. So
yeah.
Screw this show. Let's get into our champions.
Yeah.
I'll go with my first one. I'll go with mine. I only have one.
Yep.
This is, I'm calling it the Michael Jackson Smooth Criminal Award title belt to Kazuchika Okada for moonwalking after delivering a pile driver. Did you see this? Did you see
this? We do this too? No, we do this too?
I forgot. He pile drive somebody on the top of the stage ramp. And then when he left, he like turned around and was looking at him, but then he was kind of moonwalking at the same time. It's hilarious. I'm gonna see if I can find the clip, but
yeah. No, that sounds hilarious.
Yeah, it was like, why did like somebody had posted it on Twitter? I'm like, yeah, he is moonwalking. But yeah, I'll search for the clip if you want to talk about yours. But it was a funny clip. So yeah, shout out to Michael Jackson Smooth Criminal title belt to Kazuchika Okada for moonwalking, and I'm gonna be looking up for this clip.
That's because immediately I typed in Okada moonwalk, and it's just a whole bunch of his highlights and funny moments, but I can't find that specific clip. But mine actually do got 2 videos for this, or you can actually just play this in the background. You don't need to bring the video up. But I got the Jalen Ramsey. I told him his time almost up. Championship going to Ludwig Kaiser, because as we know, like, he's one of the best in the company on the mic. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, anytime he's talking, it's amazing. And this is post-match with Sheamus, post-banger with Sheamus, where Sheamus gets the W. And he gets interviewed backstage by Jackie, I believe.
Yeah.
And if you want to like jump to 45 seconds on that, or actually play the short. There's the Jalen Ramsey short from 2017. I guess you would play first for where it comes from. But it was just a great presence on the mic. He's like, yeah, I lost, but oh, go ahead. Can you hear it?
I was trying to hear what he's saying.
Okay.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're all right. I was just gonna play it right here. I'm just gonna play the
Wait, I did play it.
I'm saying I didn't hear it. I didn't know volume came through.
That's why I was saying, like, yo, keep it down, because I thought it was coming through, because I was like, you're talking over what I was saying.
Oh,
Like,
no, I didn't hear it at all.
Sorry. You hear now?
No. Either way,
Like,
it's not that important. We ain't gonna stop the show for it.
yeah, but either way, yeah, what did Ludwig say? You said 45 seconds?
Yeah, like 40, 45 seconds. He just puts him over in such a great way. He's like, everybody knows you're a legend. Everybody knows you're a WWE Hall of Famer. But your time is up. And it's just like, bro, you just lost. But I just love he put over the man that just beat him, but he's still in his like almost Carmelo Hayes. He's Raw's Carmelo Hayes. That's the best way for me to say it.
Okay. Well, it's a little bit of a janky ending to the show. We're trying
it's all right. We ain't
through audio.
Like
I said, like I'm sharing the tabs and I'm like, okay, apparently the sound's not coming through anymore. So we'll be a little bit more organized. Hey, WWE and AEW were slacking for a month. We slacked for a week. So
and we actually, I ain't gonna call it. No, we didn't slack because this is one of our longest episodes, and we said it was gonna be shorter. So we ain't slack at all. I don't want to hear nothing else about it.
There was a lot of fruitful discussion on some very good subject matter. So we did not slack. I stand corrected. Any final words before we dip out?
Yeah, the usual. Follow us on socials. At the Wrestling Re-Up on Instagram, on YouTube. Send us an email at thewrestlingre-up@gmail.com. And we will be on Twitch soon.
Yep. And we'll also be on podcast everywhere. You can find us, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. You can listen to the audio version or the video version coming soon. So until next time, we're finally out of the dog days of wrestling, fall wrestling, and getting into the path of Survivor Series War Games, Saturday night's main event, and then eventually Royal Rumble season. So now, hopefully, on to better wrestling to finish out the year. Until next time, catch y'all. Peace.
Peace.